East Nashville got a car on fire blocking the right lane, Ellington Parkway northbound, just north of Douglas Avenue. And then the right lane is blocked by a crash, 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane. TDOT reporting that one. In Murfreesboro, we got a crash blocking the left lane, 840 westbound after New Nashville Highway, Northwest Broad Street, exit 55. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. Welcome in. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Happy to have you with us. It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock, and a good afternoon. Welcome in. What's been going on? I missed a couple of days. Y'all need to fill me in on what happened while I was away. I'm back on this Tuesday, April 8, 2025. It is day 785 of our visits together, and I appreciate Cameron Smith for filling in capably yesterday and Friday. Thank you so much, Cameron. Hope everybody made it through the weather A-OK. It's my understanding that it got pretty nasty while I was away. I was out of town for a couple of days. You know who's here? Ken Weaver's here.
How about you?
What is going on, Weaver? I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays.
Well, I, had last week off, and I'm glad I did. While you guys were up all night reporting on tornadoes, I was fast asleep.
We were doing our thing over here. We missed you, though, Weaver. We missed you.
Yeah, well, I missed you boys, too.
Well, I hope everything was safe and sound over there in Oklahoma.
Well,
no?
It was safe. Wasn't necessarily sound.
Oh, really? A lot of snoring?
Nah, a whole bunch of thunder and rain. We got pretty much kind of what you guys were dealing with.
Yeah, the same kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of days that were nice, able to get out and about and enjoy that, but then the drive back, oh, that was like an acid trip.
A little testy.
Yeah, trees of lightning strikes.
Oh, yeah.
And big mean-faced clouds.
Oh, yeah.
Dumping buckets of rain.
There's a lot of rain in Nashville, Tennessee, boy. A lot of rain all across the state of Tennessee. I'll tell you that. I missed some of it. How was it there, Chris Weber?
Wet.
Over the weekend? Wet? Windy?
Yep, wet and windy and a little wild.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, but, I trust everybody made it through. I mean, some flooding, localized flooding.
Yeah.
And still some flooding issues.
Yes, it's true.
From some of these rains. But,
especially up in Kentucky, apparently.
Oh, yeah, pretty bad. And over in Memphis. I mean, Memphis I know we bag on Memphis a lot. And, in a lot of ways for good reason. But Memphis doesn't deserve all of that. And
they're still doing water rescues in Dyersburg.
Are they really?
Up there in northwest Tennessee.
Oh, my goodness. So it's still bad for some folks, and we're thinking about those folks in any way that we can help. We certainly will on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and beyond. We're here for you all afternoon from 3 until 7 o'clock. Got a big show lined up. Of course, Ken Weaver has headlines twice an hour or when news breaks. Chris Weber's controlling the experience, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. And despite information to the contrary, I was only gone for 2 days. I mean, people are acting like I've been gone for, it's not like I took the entire week off like some. But one way or the other, we'll get caught back up and make sure that you're aware of what's going on. The United States Supreme Court has decided to begin weighing in. I mean, I don't say decided. I mean, these things have a process that they have to go through. But the United States Supreme Court has begun weighing in on many of these frivolous declarations by local and district courts. District federal court judges have been stopping some of the Donald Trump agenda that we all voted on in November. Well, the Supreme Court is now speaking out. And you know what? There's a lot of consternation and conversation about the decision-making on the part of Amy Coney Barrett. I'll get into that in just a moment. Court case number 1 involving the deportation of illegal aliens from the United States of America back to their countries of origin or back to countries where those individuals can be prosecuted for crimes committed. Specifically, we're talking about Tren de Aragua. The United States Supreme Court, of course, ruled that Donald Trump has the ability as the commander-in-chief, as the chief executive officer of the United States of America and the executive branch of our government, to implement and execute the laws as duly passed by the Congress of the United States. Last I checked, it's still illegal to come into the United States of America, wait for it now, illegally, without the proper documentation. That's still illegal. That's a deportable offense. Much to the chagrin of many of the liberal Democrats who want to make it open borders for all, for any and all, lost in all of this is the manner in which Donald Trump, his administration, and by extension, Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, as well as Tom Homan, the quote-unquote border czar, have been operating, have been doing their work. They're not going after grandma and grandpa. Now, that's not to say that grandma and grandpa are absent responsibility for their actions committed by coming into the United States of America illegally, but nobody's that concerned about grandma and grandpa who have been here for a long time and who have been left to their own devices for a long time. What we are concerned with are the 8 or so million that have come into the United States of America over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. Many of them ne'er-do-wells, individuals that are seeking the land of opportunity. And by opportunity, I mean thievery and stealing and other law-breaking activities. We're focusing on those individuals. And by doing so, we're eliminating some of the crime in the inner city areas and other places. I mean, all of this is for the good and for the betterment of the United States of America. Sadly, there are people that don't care about that. They care about power and control and votes. However, the Trump administration succeeded in the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also decided that, contrary to what some in the U.S. would want you to believe, that, of course, the Trump administration, the President of the United States of America, has the ability to fire executive branch workers. The Supreme Court is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with its plans to fire thousands of probationary federal employees, I should say, not office holders. I wish we could fire office holders. Overturning a lower court decision preventing the terminations. The Supreme Court lifted the injunction today from a federal court in California, barring the Trump administration from firing employees across 6 federal agencies. The lower court order came last month following a lawsuit from the American Federation of Government Employees, a powerful public sector. We should not have government employee unions. Why do we have government employee unions? Why have we allowed this to occur? Why have we allowed this to happen? It's ridiculous. The district court's injunction, according to the justices in an unsigned ruling, was based solely on the allegations of 9 nonprofit organization plaintiffs in the case, but under established law, those allegations are presently insufficient to support the organization's standing. Liberal Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented from the court's order. Sotomayor did not explain her reasoning, while Jackson said the Trump administration failed to demonstrate the urgency of the issue. Well, you know what? Ketanji Brown Jackson is wholly unqualified for the position that she currently has. And each time she issues a written statement or a written ruling or a written decision or a written dissent, she reconfirms this in my mind. And we knew this from the jump. This is what happens when you exclude 94% of the population from any ability to serve as the next Supreme Court justice when you're Joe Biden. This is what Joe Biden did. That's not what I did. That's what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden, by his own criteria, said he was going to select an African-American female for the court. And in doing so, he excluded 94% of the American population from eligibility. And now you're down to 6%. And you didn't find a very good one in the 6%. What do you mean they have failed to demonstrate the urgency on the issue? What does the urgency of the issue have anything to do with the president's ability to fire probationary employees at his discretion? It doesn't have anything to do with it, just to answer my own question. Despite this setback, said the union, our coalition remains unwavering in fighting for these workers who were wronged by the administration and in protecting the freedoms of the American people. Here's the deal, folks. For years, we have been telling you on the Matt Murphy Show, and for years more broadly on talk radio, there have been many voices that have expressed dismay that more people were not focused on the overspending in the United States of America, which will destroy the United States. I believe that DOGE, I believe that cutting spending, I believe that taking on this task, which obviously is going to have a tremendous amount of pushback because there are a tremendous amount of people that are making a tremendous amount of money off the tax-paying citizens. This is a money-making operation, folks. With USA, all of the exposures that DOGE has been responsible for over the last 3 months or thereabouts. I guess it's been 3 months now almost. How many examples do we need to understand? I played golf with my good buddy Jay St. Clair, who you hear on Fridays on the Matt Murphy Show on Friday. I played golf with him early Saturday morning. And we were talking about this. And Jay has for years said, just broadly, that he fully believes that 50 cents of every dollar that he sends to the federal government is an absolute waste of money. And we were laughing about it because, he said, Matt, I always felt like I was kind of overselling it a little bit. He said, I think I might have been underselling it. And it's true. You know how you do. Like, man, half of the money I spend to the government, they just throw away down a rat hole. And you think, half. It's not really half, right? Maybe it's like 20%. No, it's more. It is the most important thing that we have going in the United States of America right now. That, along with the border security issues that Trump is also tackling. I would put tariffs and his plan to rebalance our trade agreements around the world as a third or maybe even a fourth in terms of its importance, but it is so important that we're doing this, and it's so important. And we have preached patience on the Matt Murphy Show. I know that it's difficult. I know it's frustrating when you realize that these district judges ought not to have the authority to unilaterally put these holds on what is clearly the presidential prerogative, but they've been able to do that over the last several months. We knew that eventually it would get to the courts, and we knew that eventually it would get overturned based on the character of the court. Now, I would have hoped that these votes would have been 6-3. It is our understanding that Amy Coney Barrett voted against the Trump administration on the illegal alien issue, voted against the Trump administration on the USAID and, the probationary worker issue. Although I've not seen a final tally on the probationary work issue, I think it was a 5-4 decision on the illegal alien one, and that Coney Barrett voted against the court's majority. I've not been in pocket long enough to see if she offered a public opinion. She does not have to in terms of dissent, but I'd be very curious if I were able to see that. I don't understand what the justification would possibly be. Now, the courts did say that those who are being deported are offered an opportunity in court, and that's fine. They do not describe, nor is it their responsibility to describe what that court hearing necessarily looks like specifically. But they did indicate that those individuals ought to have a level of due process. I'm fine with that. I think most Americans are fine with that. Arrest them, charge them, process them, put them in front of a judge, have it determined whether or not they are who we say they are, and whether or not the fact that they are here illegally is in fact true. And at that point, get them out of here. Court hearings I don't have a problem with. And the Supreme Court doesn't either. So that's good news. We've got that going for us. We've got lots to talk about on the local and state front as well. This is somewhat of a national issue. It's been a national issue since it happened in March of 2023. But look, I got to tell you, I'm not impressed with Kash Patel so far. I'm not impressed with his subordinate, Dan Bongino, so far. Now, maybe I should offer them a bit of patience, which is what they're begging for right now with the FBI. I've long said the FBI has become far too corrupted to be salvageable, and that the organization needs to be dismantled in the same way that we're dismantling USAID. Dismantle the FBI, take those things that are necessary and parse them out to other organizations. If you need to rebuild an organization that is a federal bureau of investigation, named something differently, and just restructure it in a way that's going to be more consistent with civil liberties and our ability to live in freedom without interference from our federal government and secrecy, I'm fine with that. But I don't know if this is fixable even by the likes of Kash Patel or Bongino. I've not been impressed with them. And then over the weekend, we find out what happened regarding the Covenant School. I don't know if you've seen it ought to annoy you. It's not even my issue. Well, it's our issue in the sense that it happened in Nashville. But I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later on in the show that is very, very frustrating for those local people, specifically the organization, the Tennessee Star, and Michael Patrick Leahy. They've been working diligently to try to bring light to this process of the Covenant School shooting and this so-called manifesto. It's never really been a manifesto, but that's what we've been calling it. And Kash Patel and the FBI kind of pulled the rug out from under Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star to a certain degree. We'll talk about that as well. Take your telephone calls, of course, at 615-737-9986 on a variety of different platforms. You know we're on the radio on 99.7 FM. We're also on all the streaming apps. If you stream anything on an app, you can stream us. Just type in SuperTalk 99.7 WTN and take us wherever you go. And you can also find us on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Just getting underway on The Murphy Show. At Grace Point Healthcare, you get affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine, and you get a local approach to it. What does that mean? That means that, they come to know your name. You understand your doctor. It's an old school way of thinking about things, but it is truly modern medicine. Whether paying by the visit or enrolling in the Smart Care plan, you'll always know you're getting exceptional care, and you'll know exactly what you're paying for that care. The Smart Care plan is $69 a month, and that provides you unlimited office visits at Grace Point Healthcare. Unlimited office visits for $69 a month, plus free basic labs and diagnostic testing. At Grace Point, you never have long wait times or wait lines in the waiting room. And as a matter of fact, when you make a call, if you're sick, sadly nowadays you make a call to your normal doctor and you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks. Not so at Grace Point Healthcare. Same day or next day service, even for brand new patients. They treat the whole body comprehensively. They don't lean on pharmaceuticals. They're going to do it the natural way if at all possible. Plus, they're a military veteran-owned practice, and I absolutely love that about them. Heart of Franklin, that's where they're located. 599-6868, 599-6868. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
SCOTUS weighs in on firing probationary federal workers. I've got that and more coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There he is. There's Ken Weaver back in News Closet B. My name's Matt Murphy. I host this little gathering. We call it the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump is currently hosting a gathering at the White House. He is speaking live. I believe that's in the East Room, in front of a gathering of workers. They've all got their yellow vest on. I think it's an energy summit.
Coal workers.
Coal workers, that's right. We're bringing coal back, right? He made this. This was just a little while ago, just a few minutes ago during this conversation. He had this to say about it.
Today we're taking historic action to help American workers, miners, families, and consumers. We're ending Joe Biden's war on beautiful, clean coal once and for all. And it wasn't just Biden, it was Obama, and there were others. But we're doing the exact opposite. And all those plants that have been closed are going to be opened. If they're modern enough, or they'll be ripped down and brand new ones will be built. And we're going to put the miners back to work. And I said I was going to do this. And I've said it loud and clear. And it's time to do it, and we need it.
So Donald Trump says we're going to put the miners back to work. So the takeaway from hashtag #NeverCNN will, of course, be Donald Trump wants to destroy child labor laws and put 10-year-olds back to work, right?
I mean, he said he's even going to build them brand new plants.
He's going to build brand new plants for the miners. I don't know. It just makes me laugh thinking of kids in little coal miner helmets.
The little light on the.
Oh, yeah, when they got a little thing and they're all black, little faces are black. So, yeah, we're putting it on. Here's what I want to know. When are we building new refineries? That's what we need.
Yes, sir.
We need increased refinery capacity. Our refineries, I think I saw this. I haven't looked it up lately. I think I saw it like a year ago where our refineries are on average 40 years old. I mean, it's a ridiculous length of time because of all of the environmental regulation. Well, now that we got Lee Zeldin in front of the EPA, let's go. Let's build some refineries and get that capacity up and running. And while we're at it, let's build some small modular nuke. How about that for a little energy production? Bob, you'll be first up out of Nashville. We'll get to your calls momentarily right after the news. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. U.S. stocks have closed lower after this morning's rally that sent the NASDAQ and S&P up 4% earlier in the day. ACLU's filed a lawsuit to block the Trump administration's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan gang members. And the U.S. Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Trump administration to fire probationary federal workers. About 16,000 of them will not be reinstated, as a federal judge had ordered. Meanwhile, President Trump speaking right now where he's going to sign an executive order to revitalize the coal industry. Columbia grad student Mahmoud Halil, who the Trump administration is trying to deport for leading what the Justice Department says was pro-Hamas rallies that harassed Jewish students, was in court in Louisiana today. Here's ABC's Armando Garcia.
Immigration Judge Jamie Coleman has given lawyers representing DHS a little more than 24 hours to provide Khalil's legal team evidence that he is removable under the allegations levied against him in the notice to appear that he was issued when he was first detained. And this is about a month ago, actually. Today is the 1 month mark of him being in detention, first, of course, detained in front of his home in New York City.
Yeah, so that judge has set another hearing for Friday to give Halil's team time to review the evidence and respond to it. Also, here in Middle Tennessee, did you hear about the robbery suspect who tried to hide from police in a storm drain after the storms? News 2 says it happened in Columbia on Thursday.
There is a man stuck in a drain. He's sticking his hands out like waving, trying to get somebody's attention.
Is there water in the drain?
Probably. It's probably not like super deep, but there's probably water in there.
Yeah, this guy's hand sticking up out of the grate, waving to give someone's attention. Fire crews removed the grate. And 19-year-old Ty Harrington was pulled to safety and promptly taken into custody without incident. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT is reporting a crash off on the shoulder 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane. Also, a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane 40 eastbound before Linwood Road in Wilson County. Then back here in Nashville near Belmont, got the right shoulder blocked by a stalled vehicle 440 westbound just past Hillsborough Pike. And in Murfreesboro, an accident blocking the left lane 840 westbound after New Nashville Highway, Northwest Broad Street, exit 55. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I've made the switch, and I encourage you to do it as well. You can have a life free of pain. Enjoy the things that you used to do or you want to do, and be happy with your life with no more back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain. No more tingling in your legs. No more sciatic nerve in your legs. No more weakness. No more sleepless nights. Say goodbye to disc bulges, herniations, and spinal stenosis, all with a trip to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Friends, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they're in the trenches. They are fighting to help you live a pain-free life without considering surgery until surgery is the only option. And they believe that there are so many options available for you that they can find a pain-free lifestyle and a pain-free path for you at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. In honor of our 47th president, they have 47% off their non-surgical spinal decompression right now. All you have to do is make the call that so many others have made. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. Or go to painisbad.com. I love how these people on the YouTube chat is a crazy place. YouTube chat is a crazy place. You been over there? Don't go over there.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't go over there.
All right. Thanks for the warning.
I mean, I'm just telling you, it's you'll get
Not safe, huh?
you'll get shivved over there verbally. Oh yeah, this Mark Phillips with 1, 2. Oh, let me count them. Hold on. Pardon me, just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 10 exclamation points. I believe it's 10. All in caps. We missed you, Weaver. That's what they said.
Checks in the mail.
And my response was, "What about me?" No.
I missed you too, Brother Murphy.
The response is coming. Thought you got fired.
What? No. Well, as a matter of fact, no, we did not miss you. Anyway, go over to the YouTube chat if you want to delve into a crazy place. It's crazy over there. You can find us on the YouTubes, the Twitters, the Facebooks, and the Twitch. I've never been on Twitch in my life, but apparently it's a fun place.
I understand we're supposed to be on Rumble.
We're on Rumble?
Well, like we're going to be on Rumble.
Well, I'd love to be on
Chad
some
and
Rumble.
Bell talk about it all the time.
They want to be on the Rumble?
Well, that I guess we're working on getting on Rumble.
Okay. Well, I mean, I dig it.
I don't even know what Rumble is.
I think it's an alternative to YouTube.
Oh. Well,
YouTube-
I might have to check that out.
YouTube, YouTube has a lot of rules, and whatever, it's their company. You know what? They're the multi-gajillion-dollar company, but a lot of rules about things that are no-go conversation topics, and some folks don't like that. They don't believe that is a bastion of freedom of speech, and so Rumble is a bit of an alternative. And I think Rumble, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Y'all correct me if I am. I know you will. I think Rumble really grew in popularity during COVID-19 when
okay.
YouTube was limiting conversations about COVID, coronavirus, alternative forms of treatment, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And what turned out to be the truth about where it came from, Ken, that kind of. Hey,
Imagine that.
Weaver, do you have any thoughts on this wolf deal? Just while we're talking.
Well,
Dire wolves.
yeah, dire wolves. I mean, it's very interesting.
It is to me too.
But you brought up something that struck me, and while I was excited, at the thought of us, bringing back these animals that have been extinct, this particular animal from 13,000 years ago, and like you said, I don't think we had any fault in that.
Yeah, what killed them?
Maybe we should let nature take its course and leave nature alone?
What I'm hearing, I heard a little bit of you. I think it was you and Chad that were talking about the food source.
Yeah. They ate, let's see, Western horses.
Horses.
Ancient bison. Camels. And giant sloths.
What do all those creatures have in common?
They're all dead.
Well, that's... they're all pretty big, right?
Yeah, and they're real big.
And they're
mastodon.
And are sloths mammals? I think sloths are mammals.
Yeah.
I think
so, yeah.
Those are mammals.
Yeah, they don't lay eggs.
Can you think of any large mammal population that are in existence today that might be a food source for dire wolves then, based on what you're telling me they used to eat? Because here's what there aren't a hell of a lot of wild horses running around. There aren't a lot of big old sloths running around. What are there a lot of? A lot of fat humans running around or not running around, waddling around.
Well, speaking of nature taking its course,
I mean,
might happen.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there that we might be creating a little problem.
What? Yeah.
Or a solution, depending on your point of view.
Well, and then, you brought up something else where you said, you sure about that? You sure they actually did that? I mean, couldn't they just tell us anything?
I mean, right. I mean, maybe they're just genetically modifying wolves and they're just much bigger wolves. I mean, no, my question, I don't doubt the sincerity of the people that are doing it. I just want to know, how do we know that that's a dire wolf?
Well, yeah, that's
true. Because they say, they had to use artificial intelligence to finish the genetics sequence, the genome or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, how the hell did that thing know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there are legitimate answers to all these questions. I don't know.
Well, they had real big teeth, like the biggest teeth and the strongest bite of any species in is it Canis? The
Sure.
Canis.
Sure.
species.
Yeah, the dog, wolf
Yeah.
kind of that genre. Gray
And
wolf.
they were at least 150 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big dog.
So here's my suggestion. Let's grow a big old population of those things, and let's keep McDonald's open. But if you want to go into McDonald's, you got to run the wolves.
Run the gauntlet,
You
so
got to
to
run the
speak.
gauntlet.
Yeah.
You got to get past the wolves and back to your car.
Got to earn that double cheese.
You gotta earn that Big Mac and supersized fries.
Well, where are we going to put them, too? I mean, apparently, from what Chad was talking about, there's this 2,000-acre preserve where they're going to grow them. But then what are you going to do with them? Because I'm telling you, there's a bunch of ranchers up there in Idaho and Wyoming who will kill them on the spot.
I mean, do we really need dire wolf? I mean, am I the only one that if they went extinct, there's probably a reason that they went extinct?
Yeah, 13,000 years ago, it wasn't because of us.
No, it was, I would suggest, and based on the large amount of research that I've done, which is about 45 seconds.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot for me.
Well, they ran out of mastodons.
Well, they ran out of food.
Yeah, their food was gone.
So once again, let's suggest that they're going to let them out on this preserve, and let's say that this gets a little Jurassic Parky, a little out of hand.
Yeah.
Just a little bit out of hand, because I truly believe in the butterfly effect, and I believe that nature finds a way. Whatever Goldblum's what's his name, Jeff
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. His character on Jurassic Park is exactly correct. That nature finds a way to survive. And so if you introduce this kind of crap, what happens if it gets out of hand, and then what do we do? Yeah. Now we're running around killing dire wolves, and everybody's screaming and yelling about the killing of the dire wolves.
Yeah.
Now we're just creating another problem. And then they're going to do the woolly mammoth. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to do with them? That's the question. I mean, are we just going to start building preserves and sticking dinosaurs in them?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is if it's going to be, for the lack of a better term, like a Jurassic Park sort of thing where it's basically a zoo, then okay, I guess.
All right. I mean,
it'd be cool to go see them.
Right, sure.
But other than that, yeah, I don't know. If
I don't think we need to be
wild.
building herds
of them.
I
don't think so.
No.
These are big old wolves, though. If this is what they claim it is.
I mean, we might as well. Well, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they could have just gone somewhere and said, pick out those 3 white puppies. Let's start calling them dire wolves.
It's Great Pyrenees. They're all just Great Pyrenees puppies. That's all they are. Just white Great Pyrenees. Just call them dire wolves. Watch how stupid these people are. Hey, dire wolves. Ooh, dire wolves.
Never even heard of a dire wolf before, but now everyone's like, ooh, dire wolf.
Apparently, you weren't Game of Thrones. I wasn't Game of Thrones. Apparently, it was a big old deal at Game of Thrones.
I've not seen one episode.
No, not me either.
So that's why we're doing this, is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I think that's maybe why they picked the dire wolf.
Yeah.
It was funny to talk about Trump having one in the White House with him.
My dire wolf.
I'm going to have 2 of them on either side of my desk.
Howl, boy. Howl.
He just keeps some clothes in a room. I don't go in there.
He's got the best howl. Just listen to this howl. Listen. Just knock at the. Ooh, that's the best howl. Love the howl. Dungeons and Dragons, says 0473. Maybe so. Look, I mean, I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the show. I'm a chaos man, guys. I'm a chaos man. Love to watch the chaos. And that's one of the reasons I love Donald Trump so much. Rob has been holding in Nash for some time talking about SCOTUS and the illegal alien activity. Hello, Rob.
Hey, thank you guys for taking my call.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just have a question and would love to get y'all's opinion. Based on what you're saying, it sounds like the Supreme Court said that the Trump administration, I guess, acted against the Constitution when it deported all these people because they didn't give them due process. Well, I just have a question. Why do you think they did? Why do you think the administration didn't just arrest them and go to court?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
go to court for what? They've established that they're here illegally.
After they arrested them, like pick them up, arrest them, and then go to court, just like I think the Supreme Court said they were supposed to do. Okay. Why do you think they didn't, is my question.
Well, the Trump administration is arguing that everyone that has been deported from the United States of America has been given the due process that they are due as illegal aliens, which is not the same due process that you and I would get. Due process constitutes an appearance before a judge to determine whether or not their illegal status is confirmed. And if their illegal status is confirmed, then they get the boot. They don't have a right to argue any further that they deserve to stay. The question before the court is, are they in the United States of America illegally? And if they are in the United States of America illegally, then the Trump administration has the right to deport them.
I thought the court said they didn't have the right to deport them because they had to give them due process.
No, for these individuals that have been declared to be part of terrorist organizations. We're talking about specifically on this case involving the Venezuelan gangs.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get that the administration said that they believe they were part of a terrorist organization. I understand that. I'm just saying once they declared that, it's my understanding that the Supreme Court said, okay, you can say that, but then you have to go to court.
Well, the Supreme Court case, as I understand it, was a ruling on standing.
That's correct.
Right. So they didn't determine whatever process needed to happen. They made no determination about what that process would look like. That is to be left up to the executive branch of government.
Okay, I thought they said you didn't have standing in D.C., but you have to take them.
You take them to Texas. And then and if you process them in Texas and they go through the judge and they're determined to be a part of this organization and they're determined to be in the country illegally, then you can remove them.
No, I think I agree with you on that. I guess my question is, why didn't they just take them to Texas, take them to the judge in Texas and say, you can deport them?
No, I mean, I think they will.
But they're gone now.
Right.
So, I mean, isn't it kind of too late?
Well, the determination on the part of the Trump administration is that they didn't have to do that. The courts have determined that they do, and now the Trump administration will comport with the court ruling.
So what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to ship all these people back?
No, they're not. They're not American citizens. They don't have rights.
But I thought they do have rights, even though they're not American citizens.
Nope. They
don't.
They have a basic due process. You have to determine whether or not they are who the administration claims they are, and after that, they do not have constitutional rights.
But if they don't have rights, then why would the court say that they have?
Because they have a right to prove that they are here legally. That is the standard. And if they can demonstrate that they're here legally and that the Trump administration has acted in error, you do that up front. And if you cannot establish that you are here legally, then no other argument is valid for you because you are not an American citizen, nor do you have a right to be in the United States of America.
Oh, maybe I just don't understand that, but I appreciate trying to clarify that.
It's all good. I mean, I understand that it's a little bit confusing. You have a due process right as an illegal entry into the United States of America, but there's a very limited. It's 52 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You get a bad diagnosis and things could go wrong very, very quickly, and there's a lot of them out there, whether it be for your health, whether it be for your teeth, whether it be for something else in your life, or whether it be for your car. Hey, it's Matt Murphy, and when you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, I want you to get a second opinion before you make a major decision. Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Now, I would like for them to be the home for the first place that you go, and I think they will be once you go there. Maybe before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars repairing your European vehicle, go to Eurofix. It can not only save your vehicle's life, it can save you a lot of money. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit, no high-pressure sales tactics. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now in MJ Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX or myEUROFIX.com. Is today Tuesday? Last I checked, today is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, right? It is T-shirt Tuesday at Volunteer Outfitters. How about that? Volunteer Outfitters is a great organization, a wonderful group of people. Tommy and his crew do great work up at New Shackle Island Road in Hendersonville. You do not have to enter the big city to get great brands and great prices on things like Huck, Drake, Aftco, Orca, Extra Tough boots, anything for hunters, anything for fishermen, anything for the outdoors. If you like getting out on a boat, they've got something for you at Volunteer Outfitters. And T-shirt Tuesdays, all good, man. Any purchase in the store, you get a free T-shirt on Tuesdays. Golf and attire, hunting attire, button-downs, attire for any occasion at Volunteer Outfitters. Tuesday through Friday, they're open 10 to 6, Saturday 10 to 4. Call them at 615-431-0824. Ask about those banded breeches. I have some, and I absolutely love these banded pants. Mine are in the bright orange variety, but you can pick whatever color you want at Volunteer Outfitters.
President Trump says a lot of countries are coming to D.C. ahead of that tariff deadline. We'll tell you about it at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy back in the saddle after a couple of days of R&R, and I'm just coming back in to learn about the dire wolves. I'm just throwing it out there that I don't know that, as we said earlier, I don't know that the United States of America can be blamed for the extinction of the dire wolf. And I don't know that mankind can necessarily be blamed for the extinction of the dire wolf. So I don't know that necessarily there's a play here for the political left. I also don't know that it's necessarily a good idea to bring back things that have been extinct for 13,000 years. That said, we'll put that conversation on the side burner for a moment and introduce you to a wonderful gentleman, a guest who has been a part of our show at least once before. I think it's just once before. His name is Jason Whitlock. It's absolutely a pleasure not only to have him in Nashville, Tennessee, but to watch what he's bringing to Nashville, Tennessee in terms of his roll call, and it's Roll Call 3.0. And as a way of introduction, I say thank you for stopping by. Thank you for everything you do. What's going on, Jason Whitlock?
Once every 3 years, Matt Murphy invites me on his show. And so I'm so honored to be here. And so thank you, Matt. And let me do the math. Carry the one. I'll be back in 2028, so I want you guys to enjoy this time that I have with you.
Whitlock, the first thing he did was call me out because we sat down and we had him on several years ago, and I was like, man, why haven't you been back? And Jason looked at me and said, you have not invited me. I was like, that's true. But he is here now. We got a quick top-of-the-hour news break. We're going to talk about roll call. We're going to talk about the American culture dynamic. We're going to talk about this case, this Carmelo Anthony and Metcalf case. I'm very curious about your take on it. I think you're stirring some things up with your conversation that you've had on Fearless. We will do all of that coming up in just a moment. It is 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. This is going to help folks in Middle Tennessee. Fox 17 says Lowe's stores in Clarksville going to be handing out free cleanup supplies to flood victims tomorrow. Going to be 140 buckets at each store. Each bucket filled with sponges, flashlights, bottled water, trash bags, goggles, hand sanitizer. The giveaway starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, lasts till everything's gone. Stocks rallied, then fell to end the day on Wall Street. Tariffs still driving investors' decisions. President Trump earlier today.
We have a lot of countries coming in. They want to make deals. If I told them about making those deals 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, they'd be laughing at us. Now they're all signing up.
Trump says Japan and South Korea flying delegations to Washington to make a deal. The ACLU has filed a lawsuit to block the Trump administration's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan gang members. Meanwhile, that Columbia grad student, Mahmoud Halil, who the Trump administration is trying to deport for leading what the Justice Department says was pro-Hamas rallies that harassed Jewish students, was in court in Louisiana today. The judge gave lawyers representing the Department of Homeland Security a little more than 24 hours to provide Halil's legal team evidence that he is removable under the allegations he's now facing.
Judge Jamie Comins has set another hearing for Friday to give Khalil's team time to review the evidence and respond to it. But Comins did say that she will make a determination whether he is removable or order him to be released that same day. Caveat here, of course, that ruling can be appealed, but we're going to have to wait to see how that shakes out.
That's reporter Armando Garcia. Today, by the way, marks 1 month since Halil was detained in New York City. New data from Health and Human Services shows allergies are lingering and the season's starting earlier due to changes in the weather. Here's Michelle Franzen.
If you feel like allergy season is getting longer, you're not wrong, and you're not alone. Research shows tree pollen is peaking, and grass pollen season is not only getting longer, but getting more intense. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, rising temperatures are leading to milder winters and more frost-free days. That confuses trees and other blooming plants and leads to more pollen and sneezing. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police are reporting a crash on the right shoulder, 40 eastbound at Broad, and South Side got a crash, right shoulder blocked, 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane. Stalled vehicle on the left shoulder, 24 eastbound after I-440. In Donaldson, an injury crash at McGavick Pike, south of Lebanon Pike. Nashboro Village got that sewer work, only one lane open, Smith Springs Road, right there at Bell Road. That's going to be until later on this evening. In Jolton, police reporting a crash on the right shoulder, 24 eastbound past Whites Creek Pike. Back here in Nashville, police reporting a crash 40 westbound near the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. My name is Matt Murphy, and conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Happy Tuesday. Hope your afternoon's going well, except for you panicans out there. That's a new Donald Trump term. I don't know if you saw that or not. We're going to talk about panicans with our good friend Jason Whitlock, who is in studio with us. He is the host of Fearless. It is an absolutely powerhouse of a podcast. You need to watch it. You need to download it. You need to do all the things that you're supposed to do to support it. Jason, thank you for being in with us.
Thank you for having me, Matt. Awesome to be here. Awesome to talk to the wonderful people of Nashville, Tennessee.
You are not you're no panicking.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not even checking. I haven't called my financial planner. I haven't looked. I don't care.
That's a good take to have.
Yeah.
That's a good take to have. No, I mean it's all going to work out. I trust our guy.
Yes, I'm the only comment I've made about it, and this was to a friend, it was like, because of this home renovation that took 13 months and came in twice the budget, it's like, man, I don't have the money to buy this dip that I would love to have. That's all I think about.
Well, I mean, that dip over in Green Hills costs a lot of money.
Yes,
That's my understanding. Maybe if we have time at the back end of the conversation, we can talk about bugs.
Yeah.
I want to discover. I want to discover what type of bugs creep you out.
All of them.
All of you.
Anything on 4 legs that's not a dog creeps me out.
Do you have a dog?
8 legs. No,
Yeah.
I don't. That's too much responsibility.
Come on, Jason. Gotta go get you a shelter dog.
Don't dogs draw bugs too? They go outside, bugs hop on them. Next thing you know, they're in your house.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess they are bug adjacent.
Yes,
at very least. I want to do obviously, Fearless is going so well. I mean, congratulations on all of that. I mean, I don't need to congratulate you. You know how well it's going. But, I mean, people absolutely love this podcast.
I hope they are. I hope they're getting the message. I hope that they're along for the long journey. And I hope that, it's not that I hope, but I hope that people, I'm going to keep using hope people recognize what it is we're trying to do with the podcast, with what I call the Fearless Movement and the Fearless Army. We're losing the culture because men are afraid to stand up and defend themselves, defend American values, defend biblical values. And so we're getting slaughtered in the culture war. And more degeneracy, immorality, more and more political correctness. And I know that, hey, look, on November 5th, the right person won the presidency, and we're pushing back a little bit, but we're not pushing back nearly enough. And, we, as men, we have to deal with the consequences of speaking our mind, defending the patriarchy, defending male leadership, defending biblical principles. Marriage is a biblical principle. Male leadership is a biblical principle. And we're running away from that, and we're seeing the destruction of family, which is destroying American culture. And it's most acute in the thing you referenced before the commercial break. This Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony situation in Frisco, Texas, is everything I'm talking about. That there is a culture that has arisen out of the matriarchy and out of the destroyed family, and it's called hip-hop culture, and it's called black culture, and it teaches young people and all black people that if you sense any disrespect from anybody, you are to respond aggressively and potentially violently. And we see this play out in inner cities and in black communities constantly, this whole diss culture, and I can't be disrespected. And if anybody remotely disrespects me, I can turn violent. Now it just spun out into the suburbs, and it cost Austin Metcalf his life. And people want to dance around this because, I don't want to be called racist. And I don't want, someone on my job, the woman that they have manage me on my job, thinking that I'm not sympathetic and empathetic to everything that has gone on to black Americans. We have to be bold enough to say, hey, I get what happened. Everybody's got a history. Every ethnic group has a history. But we also have some biblical truths that we have to live up to and defend, and a culture that has normalized baby mama culture, the matriarchy, that has normalized a level of violence that's unhealthy, has to be spoken against regardless of the ramifications.
Do you, with regard to the Anthony Metcalf deal, I mean, are you comfortable with the narrative that we have about what happened? I mean, it seems like, and what I mean by this is I see a pushback now where there's this suggestion that this was in self-defense. This isn't washed for me because this man went into another group's space and intentionally, I believe, escalated a situation and then obviously brought the knife on his person. It's pretty clear what happened.
It's really crystal clear. And what they've done, they have moved the conversation. They've turned it into, well, he was bullied. And I'm like, hold on, where's the evidence of that? Where's the facts of that?
Right.
They don't exist. Now, I get that people have run to social media and posted things that are untrue, flat out lies, manipulations of the truth. And I think this stuff is bought and paid for, that, you hire the right defense attorney, they hire the right internet influencers or algorithms and put them to work. And there are, what I see is just like there's a massive group of influencers who are only there to stir up racial division and to create these false narratives and storylines. Hey, the police, they're executing a genocide against black men. They're killing them every time they pull them over. That's a false narrative. There's no data to back that up. It's just not true. Everybody knows it's true. But for a decade, we lived under that false reality and made a bunch of decisions off that false reality. And they're doing it now. This is just a small example of like a kid is sitting somewhere he doesn't belong. A kid has brought a knife to a track meet, and another kid says, hey, you're not in the right spot, get up and leave. And now people, out of their race pride, out of their stupidity, out of whatever, out of their allegiance to black culture, are coming up with all kinds of excuses to justify Carmelo Anthony's behavior. And it's not justified. If the other kid grabbed his backpack, you don't get to stab him in the heart.
No. Well, and there was a time when, this potentially could have escalated into a fight.
Yes.
And I get that. But, any escalation beyond that with a weapon, it's solely your responsibility at that point. I mean, and it doesn't matter what color you are.
It could have escalated into Carmelo Anthony looking like a wimp and saying, hey, this kid's bigger than me, his brother's here, I'm leaving. That's what it should have escalated into, that like, hey, this isn't worth the drama. This isn't worth the trouble. I am somewhere I'm not supposed to be. Let me just leave. I've been punked or bullied, and just deal with that. The response isn't, no, it cannot happen to me. And if it does happen to me, I'm justified in killing someone. But Matt, we have a toxic culture that, black people are afraid to speak against it. White people are certainly afraid to speak against it. And it's undermining America and American values. And this isn't a demonization of black people. I am black. But there have been, throughout the history of the world, there have been people that adopt pagan cultures and toxic, demonic cultures. There's a full history of that. Read the Bible. Just read history. And you have to speak out against these cultures and point out to people you're buying into a demonic culture that is costing your kids their life, because it's just Austin Metcalf is dead, and his dad clearly believes his son is sitting with Jesus. Carmelo Anthony will be sitting in a jail cell for the foreseeable future. His life has been ruined. But we see black kids killed in inner cities every weekend over the exact same thing that took Austin Metcalf's life, and no one wants to speak against it. Like, where does it come from? You were talking about, like if you state a statistic that, hey, 7% of America's population is committing 50% of the murders. That's a fact. And we should have a discussion about why is that happening?
And how we can stop it.
Yes. And then so that conversation is going to lead us to like, well, this community, 75, 80% of their kids are growing up in broken homes. And there are consequences for that. Period. End of story. You have to, the family unit is the strongest weapon in the fight for holiness, in the fight against immorality, in the fight to tamp down violence. And that has been completely destroyed in the black community, and it has to be corrected.
I mean, your fight in favor of the authoritarian male role model within the home strikes, I mean, it's in my heart. I mean, my father left when I was 5 years old, and my mother had brain cancer. My father said it was too much for him, and so he left. If it were not for my grandfather, I have no idea where I'd be. But my grandfather walked into, and became a central figure, the central figure in my life. And from the age of 5 until I was a grown man, he was not a buddy. He was not a friend. He was the authority figure in my life. And he set those boundaries and set those expectations and helped me understand what life was going to expect of me. And without him, I don't know what happens, Jason. And we have, millions of young people growing up with no pa in their life and no father figure in their life. And I'm afraid of what happens. I think we're watching what happens when they become adults.
And Matt, the other shoe is, and Jesus Christ not in their life.
Well, that's exactly right.
You need a heavenly father.
Exactly right.
You need an earthly father. You need an earthly grandfather. And you can't, and this is what's going on in too many black homes. The mother is the authority figure, and she's placed on a pedestal, and she's worshiped. And she's worshiped for the rest of her life and for the rest of that kid's life. It's inappropriate. There are consequences to that. Women are developing, discipling these young men to give in to their emotions at every turn. And just a real man who knows his heavenly father, his earthly father, and his earthly grandfather, he doesn't care what some random person that he doesn't know says about him.
Mm-hmm.
He knows exactly who he is because he knows all of his fathers. When you don't, it now matters immensely what other people think about you, and you get triggered by that. And the culture tells you when you get triggered, let your emotions run wild, make sure that person knows to never trigger you again. And it's a weakness. It's just, and people don't like it when I say it, but it's just feminine energy. And so, the whole concept, I'm Matt, I got to go here because it's natural, but the whole concept, what I'm doing with Fearless and with Roll Call is I'm trying to help men understand how to be men, how to be bold, how to stand up for your beliefs in a culture that penalizes men for being men and for standing up for male leadership and male authority. And we're just trying to reach men and say, it's okay. And particularly those men, I'm just saying this is just the truth, particularly those men with a faith in Jesus Christ. I don't want you backpedaling and being ashamed of the values taught to you in the Bible. And don't let anyone convince you the values taught in the Bible, they're racist. No, they're not. They're biblical. They're the key to solving the problems we have here in America.
You need to get to this event, and we're going to talk more about it right after a quick timeout. It's May 2nd and 3rd. It's coming to Nashville. It's hosted by Jason Whitlock. He's got a lot of star power coming into town, to include Tucker Carlson. We're going to tell you more about Roll Call 3.0 in just a moment, but I'll go ahead and give you the website, fearlessrollcall.com, fearlessrollcall.com. More coming up with Jason Whitlock in a moment on The Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Y'all get any rain? I bet you did. If you're within the sound of my voice, you got some rain. A lot of rain. I undersell it, right? So if you've noticed that rain is seeping into your home in any sort of way, you need to deal with that, folks. That deal is not going to solve itself. I call it whistling past the graveyard, where you pretend you don't smell that musty smell. You pretend you don't see that water seeping into your basement or your crawl space. Well, if that's happening, it's causing a foundation issue in your home. And if it's causing a foundation issue, that's going to be a serious problem. Let's go ahead and blanch this on the front end with USS, United Structural Systems. For over 30 years, they've been helping people just like you solve all of your foundation issues by taking care of business on the front end, giving you the lowest price point possible, fixing what needs to be fixed. They never try to upsell you on anything. They just offer you peace of mind. And if you need that in your life, you need to get with USS. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. Keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. That's a long time, over 31 years in the business. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Tell them I sent you to USS.
Tennessee will not be like Texas when it comes to shooting thieves. I'll tell you about that story and others at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy, and you, 26 minutes after the hour. I have no idea how long he has to be here, but we're going to keep him for as long as we can. His name is Jason Whitlock. He is host of the Fearless podcast. You need to find that. He is also the organizer, the host, the grand poobah of Roll Call 3.0. And by the way, before I forget about it, because it's a pretty good line, one of our listeners, Jason, said that you should change the name of your podcast to Fearless Except for Bugs.
That is true. And snakes.
Look, I make it a point in my life that if you are a believer in the evolutionary cycle, I do my part on evolution. And here's how. If a snake comes on my property, I'm going to teach that snake that that's not a good idea, because that snake, all the other snakes are going to watch as that snake gets killed. And people are like, oh, some snakes are good. That is not true. No snakes are good.
I'm a firm believer in that. All snakes are bad.
All snakes are bad.
I don't care what other bugs they kill.
What was the genesis of Roll Call? How did this idea come to your head?
In 2020, when I fled Los Angeles because of COVID and because of the George Floyd riots, I just, and other things and going on in my personal life, that I needed to get away, and I needed to get to an area of the country where I could be me, and where people weren't uncomfortable with who I was. And so, Nashville, there was a business opportunity with Clay Travis initially with Outkick. And so Nashville was just very appealing to me. One, my sister had lived here 30 years previously, and so I was familiar with it. But it's just 4.5 hours from Indianapolis, where my family is, 4.5 hours from where my brother is in Cincinnati. And so I wanted to be here, and then I had this vision of like Tennessee and its music city. And even though at the time I didn't really have an affinity for country music when I came here, I knew it was Music City, and I have this vision of I want to make Tennessee's brand the harmony state, that Tennessee does harmony, racial harmony, better than any place on the planet. And when I first got here, I met with Bill Lee, and I talked with him about that, and I talked with him how I wanted to use music, gospel, and country music to bring people together, and, music and good food and speakers that are reaching out to men. And this is all part of a long-range vision of just making Tennessee the harmony place. And it's crucial to reach men. You're not going to have harmony until men that are believers that have shared values come together and start standing together and protecting each other, as long as we're promoting biblical values. And so Roll Call is a byproduct of that vision. And I do, and I got plenty of time, Matt, but we're 30 minutes in, and I just want to make sure that people that went to fearlessrollcall.com, I want you to understand how committed I am to reaching you. And so if you've gone to the website and you've hit the ticket deal, today, I've been sitting here for all week, or late last week and early this week, and people are financially stressed out. What's going on in the markets? What's going on with these tariffs? And I've been blessed, and some of the people that sponsor Roll Call have been blessed. And so today, for the next 24 hours, when you hear my voice, if you go to fearlessrollcall.com, click on the tickets, punch in the promo code 997. Any of your VIP tickets will be 50% off. And so this thing Friday night with Tucker Carlson and Randy Houser and the comedian Steve Byrne and myself, it's an amazing event at 3rd and Lindley. It's a
pretty intimate. I mean, it's enough seats, but it's a little more of an intimate deal.
Very intimate.
Yeah.
I want you all there. I don't want you to miss the conversation that Tucker and I are going to have. The kind of bold, honest conversation that Matt and I are having about race and where we are in America and what white and black men that are believers, what we have to do and what we have to promote. Tucker Carlson and I are going to have an amazing conversation about that. Randy Houser is going to do some singing. And Randy Houser is an amazing singer. And Steve Byrne, if you've never heard him, he's a hilarious comedian. This is a great opportunity for take your wife, take your girlfriend, take whomever you think is important that wants to have a great Friday night with myself, Tucker Carlson, Randy Houser, and Steve Byrne. Promo code 997. You know what radio station you're listening to. 99.7, that's your promo code. Don't take the point out of it or take the point out of it. But go to fearlessrollcall.com. Go buy your tickets right now. Use the promo code 99.7. The VIP event on Friday night, the VIP event on Saturday night, the Saturday morning VIP event. Use that promo code, 50% off your tickets. And it's just $100 for the all-day Saturday event. That's amazing as well. Damian Horn will be performing musically. He's a local guy, super talented. I've got some ministers. Corey Brooks from Chicago, the rooftop pastor. He spoke at the RNC. He'll be there. Doug
I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to rush you though. Can you do another segment?
No, I can do 10 more.
All right.
segments.
Well, let's because I don't want to rush through the Saturday. I don't want to rush through the Saturday portion. But go to Fearless Roll Call. You heard the man 997 on the promo code and get you a special discount. Particularly that 3rd and Lindsley. I mean, all weekend's going to be fabulous. But that 3rd and Lindsley, you want to get to that. 32 after the hour. Real quick on the news, and we'll be back with Jason Whitlock after this.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And here in Tennessee, a bill that would have allowed you to shoot someone stealing your property died in the Senate Judiciary Committee today. That's much to the pleasure of the anti-gun violence group Moms Demand Action, which testified against it.
No one ever should be justified legally in shooting another person over a lawnmower or even my secondhand car. That's just shouldn't be something we allow people to do.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigations and the conference that represents local district attorneys testified against the bill, too. President Trump has signed an executive order seeking to expand coal production.
Coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it, and it's going to be there for you to use the next day.
President says he's already ordered the federal government to expand mining permits. Meanwhile, the tariffs deadline looms.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Reciprocal tariffs set to go into effect Wednesday for some 24 countries, including China, on top of President Trump's baseline tariffs already in effect. Stocks rebounded briefly today, but lost those gains as a trade war looms. And now one Florida businesswoman is suing the Trump administration over his policies.
The lawsuit has been filed by Emily Lay, who runs the stationery and daily planner business Simplified out of Pensacola.
Our backs are against a wall, and we're going to have to end up cutting salaries, raising prices, not hiring people.
Lay imports from China. She says she'd love to find a domestic supplier that would allow her to remain profitable.
I would if I could.
She's suing, pointing to President Trump's use of emergency powers.
Congress is supposed to be involved in the implementation of tariffs.
She says now it's time for the courts to step in. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Economists are warning that a prolonged trade war will have consequences for the overall U.S. economy.
That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, checking this out north of downtown, we've got 2 issues on 65. The first one's going southbound right there in Madison. Got some debris that is blocking the center lane. And then closer to Goodlettsville, we've got 65 northbound blocked by a multi-vehicle crash. 2 right lanes are blocked, so is the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Jason Whitlock needs to listen up to this next advertisement because it's for U.S. Pest. If you're worried about bugs, creepy crawlies, I call them little communists because that's what they do. They take these homes that you work for months and months and months to build, and they just want to come on in and take what's yours. They want to live off you. They want to get into your walls. They want to eat your food. They want to enjoy your warmth or your AC. I'm talking spiders, brown recluses, and otherwise, stink bugs, roaches, ticks, fleas. I mean, it is bug sex season, folks, and they are growing the populations, and they want to come to your house. What do you do about it? You call U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest is the best. I love J.K. and Erica and what they've done with their company. Every sign that you see up for U.S. Pest, you'll see an American flag on it because they believe in this country, they believe in the American way of life, and they believe that you ought to be able to live bug-free. Free inspection at U.S. Pest. All you have to do is make the call, mention my name. 590-1260. That's 590-1260. Or go online to uspest.com. That's uspest.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you, and Jason Whitlock, host of the Fearless Podcast and host of Roll Call 3.0. Want to get back to the lineup here in just a moment. What's happening on Friday, what's happening on Saturday. Find out more at fearlessrollcall.com. That's fearlessrollcall.com. More on that coming up. You know, I almost have I have a sympathy for individuals that are genuinely gender dysphoric and have that mental issue in their lives because they have been overtaken by political cosplay and these role actors that have decided that they want to bludgeon individuals with their political views, and in doing so, you know, do the dress up game and make all of these demands about men competing in women's sports and whatnot. And a relatively, not even relatively, minuscule portion of the population has taken up so much of our cultural time and energy. And I'm curious, I know that you talk about it with a fair amount on Fearless, and I'm interested to get your take today.
I have sympathy for people that have gender dysphoria. I'm glad I don't suffer from it. But I'm a realist that there are issues that I suffer from. I'm gluttonous. And so I don't want the world to change around to fit my overeating habits and something that I haven't been able to appropriately deal with. And so what I say is, like, not everything is for everybody. And we keep trying to make everything for everybody. And I'm like, well, that's not the case. And so for me, another issue I used to really, really struggle with, now it's less of a struggle, but it's still a struggle, is, like, very sexually lustful and used to be very promiscuous. But I was wise enough to know, like, okay, if you're not going to live a monogamous lifestyle, marriage isn't for you. And so if you want to have multiple sex partners and you want to just come and go as you please and you want to hang out in strip clubs, that, you're going to have to sacrifice marriage. And so where we've gone in this country is we've tried to make everything for everybody. And so it's just like gay men or gay women. Okay, that's your issue or that's your desire. That means marriage isn't for you. Marriage is between a man and a woman. And so if you have this gender dysphoria issue, a man with a bat and balls that thinks he's a woman doesn't get to compete against little girls. He doesn't get to shower with them. He doesn't get to compete against them. That's not for him, because not everything is for everybody. And we live in this world that has gone way too feminist and way too matriarchal, where we think the world should be set up to satisfy our feelings. And so if I'm a man and I feel like a woman, the world should adjust to my feelings. And I don't think the world should adjust to your feelings. In order for a world or a society to operate correctly, there has to be a set of rules and standards and lines in the sand that we don't cross, even though it may not be seen as fair for a small percentage of people. And so this whole thing of inclusivity is a joke, and it's being used to justify. So we must affirm everyone's feelings. We must affirm every desire that some individual has. I just don't think that's the role of a proper functioning society. There are some things, I say it all the time. I wish that, 34 skinny jeans were for me, but they're not. And so, I wear a size 40 or 42 jeans at the moment, and I just have to accept that.
What fascinates me is how quickly we move from, hey, I just want you to accept me and allow me to live a life of my choosing. And you say, well, I want to bring you to a faith-based life, or I want to, we can want all those things we want. Then they say, no, we just want to be accepted. And we acquiesce. They would say, okay, well, that's fine. We're a freedom-loving society. We believe in individual liberty. That's cool. How quickly that moves from, by the way, you have to change completely the way that you live your life to make way for the way that I live my life. So wait a minute. I thought just a second ago you were talking about freedom and inclusivity. Now you're talking about encroaching on the way that I live my life.
It's a very slippery slope that many of us, because I'm telling you, there were 15, 16 years ago, I was one of those people like, just let them get married. And then very quickly I went, oh, wow, that is a slippery slope. And again, once you start giving in to people's feelings and whatever it is they think, well, I was born this way. That's how you get to minor attracted people rather than pedophiles.
That's exactly right. Tell me what would you refer to as what's the call to action in Roll Call 3.0 for the men that you want to bring?
For men to quit apologizing for being men. That we're in a mind game, an information war, a propaganda war, where men have been convinced, and I want all you men to think about it, because you've been convinced, oh man, 150 years ago, men were so unfair to women. We owe them. oh, did you watch Mad Men? Look how bad Don Draper and Roger Sterling acted. We owe women. We treated them so horribly. It's not true. I'm not saying that there weren't work environments like Mad Men. I'm not saying that there were no examples of men abusing their authority and power. But if you look back at the customs that were established, let's say in 1820, as it relates to work, and so I said this to Chris Ian the other day. You know why they call it spring cleaning?
Why do they call it spring cleaning?
Because it used to take all spring to clean your house. There was no vacuum cleaner. There was no Windex. Right. There was no dishwasher. Right. It actually took all spring to clean your house. And so that was a full-time job that somebody had to do, and there weren't women saying, you know what, baby, I want you to stay at home. I'll go out and hunt. I'll go out and do all the farming. I'll go out and fight the Indians. I'll go. There were women saying, nah, I'm going to clean this house. It's going to take me all spring. You keep going out there hunting and fishing and farming and doing all that. That's where the work customs came from. It's like now we live, and just think of all the risk that men take because of the way we're wired. We built skyscrapers with roughnecks who I think it was like 1 out of every 5 of them were either injured or fell to their deaths. There weren't women saying, you know what, I want to be a roughneck and build that skyscraper. There just wasn't. You know how many people probably died trying to fly an airplane or invent the airplane? It was the Wright brothers that did it. Women weren't going to take that kind of risk because it's not in their nature. They have a womb. They will choose safety over freedom every single time. And that's not to denigrate them. They have a different role in this society. And so our history, even though there was some abuses of power, but overall, when you look at the fact that men live, our lifespans are 7 to 8 years shorter than women, that's because we take more of the risk. We do more of the hard labor and the work. We go into coal mines. We do all kinds of things so that women and children can have less of a burden on them. And so I'm just trying to convince men, come out of the mindset that, and again, this also relates to our racial history. I could walk you through that, you know, the founding fathers and what they put in the Constitution and what they put in the Declaration of Independence and in the Bill of Rights. It was all intended. It was the seeds being planted to destroy slavery. And they took a very pragmatic approach to destroying slavery because they knew if they destroyed it instantly, we'd instantly go into a civil war and the country would have never got off the ground. But all of this apologizing, again, when Christianity and Western civilization, we're the people that actually went out and taught other nations and other countries and other cultures like slavery is bad. We ended it before. And it's still going on today, and no one cares about slavery that's going on today. But all of this apologizing for the past, it's a mistake. Defend yourself. It is not that we're perfect. It's not that we can't improve, and we should. But all of this apologizing and all this bending over, and we must surrender to female leadership, and we must have DEI and install people in positions that they haven't earned. We must end a merit-based society so that we can make up for all the abuses of the past. It's a lie. It's a gimmick. It's a shtick that's putting your children in harm's way. Look at this society that we have. It's less safe. We're stealing the innocence of children. My passion for all of this is because, and I'm 57 years old, be 58 at the end of this month. I look at my child and I go, oh, my God, these kids today, they're not going to experience what I experienced. All of this victimhood mentality, all of this, the white man is the devil and he owes you. That was never instilled in me. Everything my parents were saying to me was like, man, look at all the opportunity out there for you. Boy, if you just pull your pants up and do the right things and go to school, man, the whole world is an oyster for you. It's so much more opportunity out there for you as a young person than there was for me as a young person. And now we're telling kids just the opposite. We're crippling them mentally. It's And then when you think about, the way school systems are sexualizing our kids, the way television is sexualizing young people and kids and making them make sexual decisions and think about sex long before their brains have developed enough to even think about it and to really understand it. And kids feel pressure that this incel term that they've come out with, involuntary celibacy, and young kids are trying to avoid that. And that's why they're having sex earlier and earlier and earlier, and with whomever, boy or girl, that will have sex with them, because the last thing you want to be called is an incel. You don't want to be called an involuntary celibate person. We're destroying kids, and I want men to stand up and stop it.
Just a little taste of Friday night, May 2nd, Saturday, May 3rd, Roll Call 3.0. Now, Friday night is going to be at 3rd and Lindsley, a conversation with Jason and Tucker Carlson, country music from Randy Houser, comedy from Steve Byrne. If you go online, fearlessrollcall.com right now, you said put in those tickets.
Go to hit the ticket deal and the VIP event on Friday, which I'm just telling you, Tucker Carlson, Randy Houser, great comedian, myself and Tucker having the kind of conversation me and Matt are having. That's the greatest value. You're going to get great music.
It's going to be incredible. And frankly, if you've never been to 3rd and Lindsley, every seat is a VIP seat in there. So, I mean, it is a VIP conversation. You're going to be close up. You're going to see Jason and Tucker one-on-one. It's going to be an incredible experience. And then Saturday, I want to run down Saturday before we run out of time. You've got Alan Jackson from Murfreesboro.
Alan Jackson, World Outreach Church I've visited many, many times. Alan Jackson spoke last year. He'll be back. Corey Brooks, the rooftop pastor, spoke at the RNC convention. He's got a huge church in the heart of Chicago, in the inner city of Chicago. He's speaking. Doug Wilson, one of the best educators in the Christian space. He's coming in from Moscow, Idaho. He'll be speaking. E.W. Jackson set the place on fire last year. He'll do it again this year. I'll be speaking. It's going to be music from Damian Horn and Tamara Conrad. That's going to be incredible. And that's only $100. That's only $100 for the all-day Saturday event, and that's at Rocketown. And then Saturday night, Lee and Julie Beeman, Lee from Toyota.
I love Lee Beeman. Love Julie
guy
as well.
Yeah. At their home in the state, the Duggar Band will be there. They'll perform. It's the post-roll call party. It's only $200 for that Saturday night event. Again, if you go to the ticket app right now, or Ticket Tailor, if you hit our ticket button at fearlessrollcall.com, punch in the promo code 997 promo code. These VIP events are 50% off for the next 24 hours. You should do this right now. An incredible bargain for you Friday night and Saturday night. And Saturday morning, there's a Saturday morning breakfast as well. Great value right now for the next 24 hours, 997 promo code.
Find out more at fearlessrollcall.com, fearlessrollcall.com. A weekend, really a celebration, a coming together of like-minded people talking about faith and fellowship and a conversation about the role of men in American society. Such a great hour, Jason. Man, I commit to you.
2028, I'll be back.
You will be back by 2028. I commit that to you.
Butter, write that. Could you put that in my calendar, Butter?
Yeah, just go ahead and throw the 2028 in there.
Yes.
And I commit.
Bring me in here on a walker.
I'm gonna be there all weekend, bugging you all weekend at Roll Call.
Awesome.
3.0, and I will bring no bugs.
Awesome.
There will be no bugs with.
Tell
me.
your friends. Tell your wife. Tell your wife's friends. Everybody come hang out with me, Tucker, Randy Houser, Alan Jackson. It's going to be amazing. Get your spirits uplifted, and I'm going to give you the strategy and the encouragement you need to be a man.
And by the way, y'all need to go ahead and do this now, not only to take advantage of the offer code 997, but also this event's going to sell out. So you want to go ahead and get these tickets now. Don't wait until the end of the month because you don't know or whatever. Go ahead and go to fearlessrollcall.com. Jason, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
There's Jason Whitlock. We'll be back in just a moment. You know, sadly, for a lot of these insurance companies, health insurance companies, you're getting taken advantage of. They will give you minimum coverage for maximum money. Let's not do this anymore. No more call center agents wasting your time or your bills that you were told you were never going to get. Let's call Shane Ring at Cover Nash. Shane can cover the entire industry, right? So he's going to go online and he's going to look at all of these different insurance plans. He's going to sit down with you in Brentwood. It's not a call center. And once he sits down with you, he can help you understand exactly what you're paying versus what you ought to be paying, what your coverage is versus what your coverage ought to get, and you will figure out a decision for yourself. Manage your insurance by you, not by the government and not by anyone else telling you what to do. You ought to be the decision maker in this process. Call 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police say they counted 17 shell casings from a shootout between people in two cars speeding down Murfreesboro Pike last night. People wearing ski masks shooting at each other. With the help of the police helicopter and a K-9, 3 teenagers were taken into custody. Police say they found 2 guns and the ski masks. A 15-year-old charged with a second offense of a juvenile in possession of a gun. A federal judge in Washington ruled for the Associated Press in its fight to restore its access to President Trump's events. The AP banned from the pool by the White House nearly 2 months ago. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy with the latest.
Trump-appointed Judge Trevor McFadden says the White House's actions have been brazen, based entirely on the AP's editorial decision to continue using the name Gulf of Mexico instead of the Gulf of America. McFadden says the Constitution forbids viewpoint discrimination, even in the president's Oval Office. He's ruled that the wire service's access, stripped in February, must now be restored. But he's stayed that decision until Sunday to allow the White House the chance to appeal.
That tariff deadline looms.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. The next phase of President Trump's tariff policy kicking in tomorrow, adding reciprocal tariffs on imports on nearly 24 countries. The White House says 70 countries, including key allies, have called to start trade talks. But the president says he won't pause tariffs until deals are done. It's led to a roller coaster ride for the markets. ABC's Alexis Christoforous has details.
We had a nice big rally to start the day, and then as the day progressed, we saw it erode. There was hope that there might be an agreement between the White House and some countries as we move closer to those reciprocal tariffs taking place at midnight. But then the market felt that no deal was going to be coming anytime soon, and so we started to see the selling again.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer confirming today the Democrats are planning to introduce another bill to hold all of Trump's tariffs. A Senate bipartisan bill to limit tariffs on Canada passed last week.
U.S. Supreme Court shooting down a lower court's ruling that says about 16,000 federal probationary workers fired by the Trump administration have to be reinstated. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
The judges basically at the lower court never questioned the government's power to fire these workers. It was just how it was done. But the Supreme Court today said actually these labor unions don't have standing to even take on that challenge. They said that these groups had not shown enough evidence that they are directly harmed to be able to bring this case. And so for now, even as the litigation moves forward, these workers will be off the job effective immediately going forward.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Rivergate got a crash on the right shoulder, 65 northbound at Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. And on I-40 westbound at Fessler's Lane, right shoulder blocked by a crash. Berry Hill, right shoulder blocked by a crash. 440 westbound right before 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we are, and here we go. It is the 5 o'clock hour on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am so pleased you've decided to join us. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. It's just after 5, 7 past, as a matter of fact. Hope you're doing well. Maybe you're just off of work. You're enjoying what is a gorgeous afternoon in the Music City. At least it seems so to me. Frankly, I don't know. I haven't looked outside in 2 hours. Weber, you got anything?
It's still lovely out there. It's
beautiful
bright
out there?
sunshine, blue skies.
Not cool, is it?
53, I don't know. That depends on your person.
Let's ask Weaver. Weaver, is 53 too cold?
Yes.
What would you like?
I want it in the 70s or higher.
Okay. How about the does it ever get too hot?
No. As long as I've got air conditioning to step inside.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean,
but yeah, well, it can't get too hot for me out there.
But by that standard, if you got a heater, it never gets too cold, right?
Ooh, caught him.
Stop it, Brother Murphy.
How dare you, Murphy? Well, it's 53 one way or the other, and that's a little cool for this time. I don't know if it's cool or not for this time of year. It's been I'll take it. Here's the deal. It's not raining. And right. I think all of us will agree that unto each life, some rain must fall. And we've had enough for now. Thank you very much. Thank you also very much to Jason Whitlock. If you missed any of that interview, I'm certain that it'll be up on the podcast in a little bit. We're very excited about being a part of Roll Call 3.0, fearlessrollcall.com. You can find out more information about that and get your price point. And don't forget about the offer code 997. You type that in, and you will get half off of ticket prices on the website, fearlessrollcall.com. Thanks again to Jason Whitlock. So, obviously, we in Nashville are very protective. I think that's the right word, protective of the Covenant School story. Probably more so than elsewhere around the country, and we probably I don't want to say probably, I don't want to assume how you think about it, but at least for me, I mean it is close to us. We drive down Harding Place, we see Covenant School, we talk to people who know family that go to Covenant School. We have seen mothers and fathers in the grocery store and around us. We have wept with them in the aftermath of this tragedy as it has unfolded. And so naturally, we want to make sure that we have the information as quickly as we possibly can to try to figure out what happened. And we have on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, my predecessor, Brian Wilson, on The Drive was a leader in this regard on this radio station. We have provided as much possible information as we can and have hit multiple roadblocks in the process of doing so. And I applaud. I tried to do what I could do in the midday. Brian led the charge and had some sources and resources within, various agencies that gave him valuable and reliable information that he then talked about on the drive. We also had Michael Patrick Leahy, who's a part of he's editor-in-chief of the Tennessee Star, who is endeavoring as well to get this information to the general public, good, bad, or ugly. I mean, and obviously, when you're talking about a mass shooting, when you're talking about 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults dying at the hands of an evil shooter, I understand that you're trying to make sense of the senseless, and I've said that from the beginning of this conversation. I understand that we're trying to rationalize somehow in our minds how in the world someone could commit such evil atrocities right here in our own backyard. But I do think it's important that we get this information. I do think it's important that we learn. I do think it's important that it is made available to us, above and beyond the fact that it's here, above and beyond the fact that it is so just disheartening. It's just bathed in grief and tragedy. Above that, the right of the people to know the goings on around them, the right of the people to know whatever the investigation might uncover, ought to be sacrosanct, with the exception that you're going to empower others to commit acts of atrocities such as this, or you're going to divulge information that need not be divulged. Right? Obvious, most of us recognize that there should be privacy protections, there should be redactions, there should be other things that are in place to protect innocent people and to protect methods or operational types of things, or, layouts of the school, et cetera, et cetera. Beyond that, the public has a right to know. And it is not an excuse to say, well, it's too awful, it's too evil, it's too grotesque, it's too mind-numbing. That's not good enough. Not in an open society, not in a society that believes in freedom. And with that in mind, I would like to applaud Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star for their individual efforts in working the court system and attempting to get this information before not only the people of Nashville or Tennessee, but the entire world. And so understanding that Leahy was a part of the lawsuit, understanding that they brought the suit, because, and for those who might have missed it, the Star News digital media company, which owns the Tennessee Star, and their editor-in-chief, Michael Patrick Leahy, who we've had on this show on multiple occasions, they sued the FBI in May of 2023, a mere month and a half, 2 months after the evil events of March of that year, in an effort to compel the agency to release the writings of the shooter. The lawsuit was filed after the agency declined to comply with the Freedom of Information Act that the Star had filed for the writings under the leadership of former FBI Director Christopher Wray. That case is ongoing. I'm not ready to write off Kash Patel just yet, but I'm confused about what has happened over the last 48, 72 hours. Confused, to say the least. Because what the FBI has done is, in the midst of this lawsuit and with the understanding that the people of Nashville, specifically and more specifically, the Tennessee Star as a reporting agency of this local community, they have been suing for this information for the past 2 years. In the midst of that going on and in the midst of that lawsuit happening, Kash Patel apparently made the decision as the director of the FBI to release the 1,299 pages to Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly of the Megyn Kelly podcast or show or whatever she calls it, and formerly of Fox News. Now, this is nothing. My commentary from henceforth is I'm not casting any aspersion against Megyn Kelly. I don't know Megyn Kelly. I'm sure Megyn Kelly is a fine person. I'm sure Megyn Kelly has the right intentions. I'm sure Megyn Kelly will do the right things. I don't understand, and I get a little frustrated about this. I don't understand if you feel compelled to release the information, why you feel compelled to release the information to one person and not every person. Why is Megyn Kelly getting a view? What does Megyn Kelly have intimately to do with this situation that she would get the view of these writings, call it whatever you want, and not those parties that have been interested and most intimately impacted by it? Does it frustrate me? Yes. And it frustrates me in an ancillary way. It frustrates me for you. It frustrates me for Nashville. It frustrates me for Tennessee. It frustrates me for the Tennessee Star that Kash Patel tells us that he believes in openness and transparency, and I want to believe those things, yet he picks and chooses. They did this crap with the Epstein stuff. When Pam Bondi went out, and look, I love Trump, and y'all know that my bona fides on this are well established. But I'm going to call the baby ugly when the baby's ugly. And they did this crap with Epstein, with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Oh, you got to be, we don't know. Oh, well, we didn't realize, there's more. And, it's in the Southern District of New York, and let's blame them. Well, we haven't seen it since. And they picked and choose. They did the same thing. Where they grabbed a few influencers. Remember that? We're talking about 14-year-old kids being raped, and they're walking out of the White House with their binders. Hey, yay, look what I got. Look what I got. And now, and once again, I'm not faulting Kelly, but now she tries to offer us an explanation as to why she was given the exclusive look at the 1,200-page document.
I just want to tell you what happened there. We received an exclusive on the Nashville shooters manifesto from the FBI. We exclusively had permission to report on it, though not to post the documents. And we spent the weekend reviewing the over 1,000 of them. What we concluded, and it's outlined in Morning Update, which is on YouTube and on our podcast feed, is that we were misled by Nashville authorities last week who said, there's not one document called the manifesto, so we're just going to tell you, based on our reading of these 1,000+ documents, what the motives here were. And guess what didn't make the dance? The shooter's trans ideology at all. At all. So we read through the documents, and again, we've been misled. This woman was obsessed with trying to trans herself, wanting to trans herself, trans ideology. I mean, it was like reading a leftist playbook on race, gender, and hatred for America. And now it's becoming really clear why this wasn't shared with us for 2 years. Well,
why isn't it being shared with us now? That's all well and good, and I'm glad that Megyn is giving us her take on it. But how is that any better than what Nashville did? Nashville said, you can't see this, so we're going to give you our take on it. And now Kash Patel is saying the same thing. You can't see this, but here, Megyn Kelly will give you her take on it. And it'll be a different take, and it'll be a take that probably you'll accept a little more, and so you won't ask for it. If you can give it to Megyn Kelly, I mean, I'm sorry, am I missing something? If you're the director of the FBI and you have the ability to hand these documents to Megyn Kelly, how about giving them to the guy that sued your ass for 2 years before you do that? Is that too much to ask? Is it too much to ask that you act as if we're all privy to this information? Why does Megyn Kelly get this information from the FBI and we don't? Can anybody explain that to me? I mean, and I'm not playing. I'm being as sincere. I do not understand why the director of the FBI would give information to Megyn Kelly and not to you, and not to me, and not to Ken Weaver, and not to Michael Patrick Leahy, and not to Dan Mandis, and not to Chris Hand, and not to Chad, and not to you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Tell me why. Tell me how that is transparency, where we have to, what we learn has to be filtered through some rando on a podcast. That's not the transparency that I bought. And if I sound mad about it, it's because I am mad about it. I am not impressed. There's a lot of things about the Trump administration that are impressing me. I am not impressed by the Attorney General of the United States, and I am sure as hell not impressed by the head of the FBI or his little assistant, Bongino, who runs around on social media begging for patience. Oh, give us patience. Give us patience. That's the same kind of crap that you destroyed regularly on your radio show. Every day we listen to Dan Bongino destroy the FBI for talking about patience and transparency and secrecy, and we've got to protect this and that and the other thing. And now he's doing the same crap. I'd like to say that I'm sorry for yelling, but I'm not, so I won't. It's 22 after the hour. Friends, let's talk for a moment about Men of Valor. What a wonderful ministry, funded primarily by individuals like you, families, and church groups. Your support allows Men of Valor to go into the prison systems as they do all across the state of Tennessee and disciple men to Jesus Christ. Disciple them that they can then re-enter society as men of integrity. In 2024 alone, Men of Valor ministered to well over 3,000 men in the prison system. Did you know that 90% plus of men who go into the prison system get out at some point? What type of men do you want coming out? Well, their army of staff and volunteers, they minister directly to the incarcerated by way of Bible study and discipleship, chapel service, concert classes on manhood, one-on-one mentoring, and it works, friends. They term a recidivism rate that in some cases is over 70% to less than 15% through Men of Valor. Will you give? Can you volunteer? Can you give a monetary donation? If so, go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com to find out more about the wonderful organization that is Men of Valor.
The ACLU is now suing to block the Trump administration's use of a 200-year-old law to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. This story and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. There's Ken Weaver. He's calm. He's in the newsroom. I've calmed down a little bit.
That was...
I had my rant pants on.
I like that, Brother Murphy.
I had my rant pants
That's
on.
That's passionate.
Well, I mean, I am very passionate about openness in government, and
I agree with you.
Someone
give it to everybody.
I mean, I don't understand how what Bongino did, or not Bongino and I guess Kash Patel. So Kash Patel offered an exclusive to Megyn Kelly. Okay, so and we like Megyn Kelly, and she's conservative and all of that, and we like Trump and we believe in him, so we're supposed to just let that slide. How is that different than like? What was his name? Well, Comey. How's that different than James Comey providing information to CNN, exclusively to CNN? I mean, how is that different?
I don't see it.
And if James Comey provided information exclusively to CNN, and then we had to get that information filtered through CNN, you and I and every other conservative and libertarian in America would be throwing a poopy fit. Yet we're supposed to let it slide because it's our guys and it's somebody that we like. That's not transparency. That's filtering it through. Why? I don't understand why the decision was made. I just want to know why the decision was made. Who made a decision to release information? Well, by the way, a lawsuit is going on with Leahy in which the Department of Justice argued that they could not release this information to Michael Patrick Leahy or to the Tennessee Star or to Matt Murphy, to Ken Weaver, or anybody else because it would compromise the investigation and it would compromise this and compromise that. And while they were saying that, they gave it to Megyn Kelly. Now, once again, this has nothing to do with Megyn Kelly. It has everything to do with Kash Patel, everything to do with Dan Bongino. Individuals that were, boy, they talked tough. I mean, I'm just saying, they talked tough. And they didn't have to take these roles. They wanted these roles. They were offered these roles. They accepted these roles. I'm glad they did. I'm not discounting Kash Patel yet. I'm not discounting Bongino yet. But all I know is after all that tough talk, over the weekend, Bongino offered this to us. This is off of his X post. Headed back to D.C. today after spending a day back home with my wife and daughter. As I dive back to work, I want to reassure you that nothing that is happening here is happening by accident. Okay, let's let that sink in relative to the fact that they gave information to Megyn Kelly while a lawsuit was going on exclusively to Megyn Kelly. The rest of us, why don't we get to see it? That's all I want to know. What makes Megyn Kelly so special that she gets to see it? Why do we have to have what we learn about this filtered through her?
Explain it.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. So none of this is happening by accident, he said. Because of and he wasn't referring specifically to this case, he was just saying generally. Because of the sensitivity of what the FBI deals with, both the director and I have to be circumspect in what we can make public. Oh.
That sounds a lot like whenever this thing first happened.
Really? That's interesting. Because, I mean, and he's just talking broadly about everything. Wow. Huh. Well, that's interesting because I just don't remember Dan Bongino offering any grace to Christopher Wray when he said that he had to be circumspect and sensitive to this information. I don't remember these people telling us. What I remember them saying is that it's the American people's to know. More on this in a moment. Your calls as well. Nincompoops in the News coming up. It's all on the way. I'd love to hear from you. If y'all think I'm wrong, y'all can yell at me for a while. 615-737-9986. It's 31 after the hour.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and the ACLU has filed a lawsuit trying to block the Trump administration's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelan gang members. This comes just one day after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed it, but only after detainees are given due process to challenge their removal. This is ACLU attorney Lee Gallant.
The court did not say that the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act was okay. It just said that will have to be decided in the first instance by the lower courts. It's absolutely wrong that the Supreme Court blessed the use of this wartime authority.
He says they hope to get another injunction. Columbia grad student Mahmoud Halil, who the Trump administration is trying to deport for leading pro-Hamas rallies, was in court in Louisiana today. Immigration Judge Jamie Coleman's giving the Department of Homeland Security lawyers a little more than 24 hours to provide Halil's legal team evidence that he is removable under the allegations levied against him.
Judge Jamie Coleman has set another hearing for Friday to give Khalil's team time to review the evidence and respond to it. But Coleman did say that she will make a determination whether he is removable or order him to be released that same day. Caveat here, of course, that ruling can be appealed, but we're going to have to wait to see how that shakes out.
That's reporter Armando Garcia, who says today is 1 month since Khalil's arrest in New York City. And here in Middle Tennessee, did you hear about the robbery suspect who tried to hide from police in a storm drain after a storm? News 2 says it happened in Columbia on Thursday.
There is a man stuck in a drain. He's sticking his hands out like waving, trying to get somebody's attention.
Is there water in the drain?
Probably. It's probably not like super deep, but there's probably water in there.
Now, this guy's hands sticking up out of the grate, waving to get someone's attention. Fire crews arrived. They pulled the gate up, or grate up, I should say. And then 19-year-old Ty Harrington was pulled to safety and promptly taken into custody without incident. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT still reporting that crash on the right shoulder 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane in Antioch. Looks like we picked up a crash 24 eastbound past Harding Place. And then Berry Hill got a crash on the right shoulder 440 westbound before 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did she just say pull your pot into the garage? That's what I thought she said. I might have misheard her. You know, it's getting cool outside. As the nice lady just told us, we need to pull our pot in the garage. So Efficient Heating and Cooling, they understand that, you know, you've probably been working on that AC for a minute, or you've probably been working it for a minute, cooling down the house, and now maybe you're turning on the heater. And if you don't get satisfaction, you need to call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Great time to get that AC maintenance before you're really using it in a robust fashion. And their maintenance, they've never charged, they don't charge over $125 for maintenance calls for your residents, no matter how many units you have on residential property. And oftentimes it's less than that. They're going to charge you as little as they possibly can because they want to encourage you to get your maintenance done. Jeff Eddy keeps his overhead down. He doesn't charge you overtime on evenings or weekends. He just doesn't believe in it. He offers you a Rheem product. They're an Elite Pro product, partner with Rheem, meaning if it's time to replace, they'll make a suggestion for you, and they've got a variety of products that they can suggest for you and your family. Let's call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling when the AC goes down or when you believe you might have a problem. 615-784-4424, 784-4424. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Nincompoops in the news, upcoming 5:39, almost 5:40. Thank you for being with us on Super Talk. Look, I particularly appreciate you in these times where if you think I'm wrong, by all means, give me a call. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, or on the Super Text line. You are invited to be a part of the radio show. Right now, I'm breaking down why in the world that the FBI decided to pick and choose an individual that they were going to release the Covenant School writings to. They decided to hand it exclusively, quote unquote, to Megyn Kelly. Oh, that's great for Megyn Kelly. That's wonderful for Megyn Kelly. She got a big exclusive. I'm happy for her. There's also a lawsuit going on right now. That lawsuit involves the Department of Justice and the Tennessee Star, a local organization that has been endeavoring to get this information in their hands for some time now. When apparently, according to Leahy, editor-in-chief of the Tennessee Star, and their attorney, the explanation was a little lacking. The attorney for the Tennessee Star is a man by the name of Dan Lennington, who is at the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, representing Leahy and the Tennessee Star in the federal lawsuit. Lennington requested an immediate explanation Monday from the Department of Justice, which represents the FBI in the lawsuit. Lennington also told the DOJ that this would potentially affect the lawsuit, obviously. Counterpart of the DOJ Tuesday claimed to have no knowledge of the FBI's decision to release any of these materials. No knowledge of it. I'm not aware of the records that your clients requested being released, but I'm looking into it, wrote the DOJ attorney, then suggesting a full release of Hale's writings to the Star could be forthcoming after the conditional release to Kelly. The DOJ attorney confirmed if the records that your client requested were released by DOJ, I would, of course, provide them to you and inform the court. I just, on the heels of what happened with the Epstein stuff, I'm just a little confused. You know, they released them this info to the influence, and we were supposed to believe, oh, this is great stuff. And then eventually when it filtered out, it was all stuff that was a matter of public record. It was never anything new. And yet they still claim, they maintain that they have thousands of pages of Epstein stuff that have yet to be released, that the Southern District of New York was withholding from the FBI, and then the FBI got their hands on it. How many weeks ago was that? And then I get this. And once again, I'm not discounting these folks as of yet, but I am a little frustrated with the likes of, Dan Bongino, who, I love Dan Bongino as a talk show host. And Dan Bongino talked tough when it came to transparency and openness. And then, but now what he said over the weekend was, and I'll just finish this up, and then we'll get to Nincompoops here in a second. As I dive back into work, I want to reassure you that nothing is happening here is happening by accident. Because of the sensitivity of what the FBI deals with, both the director, Kash Patel, and I have to be circumspect in what we can make public. Bad guys read this stuff too. Neither one of us came here to play games. Measure us by results. You'll see them. Just because you don't see something happening right this second doesn't mean it isn't happening. I'll conclude by stating that not every result is going to please everyone. That's just pandering. It's not leadership. Complex problems require diligence and a reform-oriented process to create lasting changes. Or else you're simply putting a bandage on a gushing wound. Let's do it right. God bless America and all those who defend her. Dan. Well, if you want me to judge you by what you do, is that right? Measure us by results. Well, the result that I'm measuring you on right now is that you handed 1,200 pages of documents that ought to be made available to the entire general public to one individual on the condition that they not release them and offer them exclusivity. I don't understand why you're picking winners here with regard to this information in the same way that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, seemed to do with these right-wing influencers. It seems that the rules of the game haven't changed. It's just the players that have. At least from my perspective. But maybe, just maybe, I am a big old nincompoop. I don't know. Maybe I am. Yeah.
Nincompoops in the news.
I see y'all over there on the phone lines. We'll get to you momentarily, but we have promised to deliver nincompoops in the news at this time on a daily basis, and we will do so right now. Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, Matt Murphy in the arena of battle for who has the nincompoop of the day. And I think I've got both these men beat.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
I've heard that before.
Well, that's true. I cannot deny that. But I got a pretty good one today. Who wants to go first? Anybody want to? I'll go first.
Oh,
thank you. I gave you a shot. I gave you the old.
That was fair.
The old auctioneer's chance. I don't know what's going to go down. Sold to Matt Murphy. All right, so this is out of Colorado. The entire Colorado legislature will make up my nincompoops in the news.
All right.
Colorado lawmakers have proposed House Bill 25-1312, which would make dead naming or misgendering children, that is, not using their preferred names or pronouns, a factor in child custody disputes. Under the new legislation called the Kelly Loving Act, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. I hope Loving is a last name. That's all I can tell you. Under the Kelly Loving Act, parents who refuse to use their children's chosen name or pronouns, even out of sincere concern for the child's well-being, would be deemed to be exercising what is called coercive control and therefore lose custody of their children. In other words, in Colorado, in a child custody dispute between two parents, if there is one parent who says, my kid was born a boy and I'm going to keep calling him he or him, that parent would lose custody of the child if the child has, quote unquote, preferred pronouns. Instead of ensuring children's safety, the bill would mandate speech, codify a radical ideology into law, and weaponize family courts into enforcing compliance. The bill is framed in terms of preventing harm, but it is actually causing it. This is HB 25-1312, currently being considered in the Colorado General Assembly, and they are my nincompoops for even bringing this thing up.
That's going to be tough to top.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Mr. Weaver.
Ridiculous.
All right, here we go, boys. This happened on April 1st. A couple caught having sex atop a gravesite in a historic Florida cemetery.
Seeing what he does to me.
Oh, boy.
Officers spotted a white Nissan parked in front of the locked Wild Cow Prairie Cemetery. Quote, with the windows down and no one in the immediate area. The Sumter County Cemetery has several dozen marked and unmarked graves dating back to 1850. In 2021, the cemetery was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Then here on April 1st, at the rear of the cemetery, investigators observed, quote, a white male and female engaged in relations on top of unknown grave number 43.
Sorry, you made me bang my head against my microphone. Unknown grave 43. Poor unknown 43.
Wow. Cops identified the alleged grave bobbers.
They're grave bobbers.
As 38-year-old Joseph Luke Brown and 46-year-old Stephanie K. Wegman. Then a search of the Nissan, which is registered to Wegman and her husband, who is not Brown, discovered meth on the passenger seat. And then inside Wegman's purse were 2 prescription bottles with the labels missing that turned out to be Xanax and oxycodone. Wegman was arrested on multiple drug charges, booked into the county jail where she's being held without bond. And Brown was transported from the cemetery to a local hospital due to a pre-existing injury to his leg.
A pre-existing? What?
Wasn't too bad.
I mean, don't worry about that oozing, baby.
He just needed a little loving.
That's just some TLC.
Fix your ride.
Right on top of gravesite number 43.
Oh, poor unknown number 43. I'm not asking this question, Ken, as we get to Chris's nincompoop. I'm not asking this question. This question's officially coming from the Super Talk text line.
All righty.
Because they didn't hear all the story.
Okay.
So nobody in this story was named Barry.
No.
Okay, and nobody in the story was named Megan.
No, sir.
Okay, I was just checking. That's okay. So that answers the question there. All right, just making sure.
Not in the vicinity, apparently.
Mr. Weber.
Mine comes from Miami, Florida. Wilson Munoz Suarez, known to his patients as Dr. Wilson Munoz, prominently advertised cosmetic surgery procedures and medical supplements on social media and his website, and was pictured smiling in medical scrubs, touting his more than 25 years of, quote, transforming lives. He worked at a surgical center in the heart of Miami's Little Havana neighborhood, but authorities say he had no right to perform any procedures in Florida, as he wasn't a licensed doctor. They confirmed with the Florida Department of Health that Munoz was not licensed in the state, and the About Us section on his website mentions that he, quote, began his career in medicine in 1999, but lists no information about a medical degree. He wrote in the section that he, quote, achieved great recognition throughout the national territory, presumably a reference to his home country of Venezuela, and, quote, the rest of Latin America, including Colombia and Panama. Well, deputies went to his home on, this was a couple weeks ago, to arrest him on a charge of practicing medicine without a license. But they said his subsequent actions would add a second felony and 3 misdemeanors into the mix. Authorities say when they grabbed Munoz, or rather asked Munoz to step outside, he tried to close the door on them, leading a deputy to grab him. They said he then proceeded to, quote, tense up and pull away. Deputies then say he put his elderly mother in a chokehold and tried to use her as a human shield.
As you do.
Good grief.
They said they then grabbed his arms to stop him from harming his mother. He continued to resist. They said that deputies were eventually able to take him into custody on the original charge, plus additional counts of battery on a person older than 65, domestic battery, and 2 counts of resisting arrest without violence. So his day went from bad to worse.
What was he a doctor of?
This was these cosmetic procedures.
Oh, yeah, so butt implants.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Mama, I told you I was sorry. I mean, who among us has not used Mama as a human shield? I mean, come on. I mean, ye without sin. There you go. There's Nick Poops in the news on this Tuesday edition. Y'all get your votes in. 615-737-9986. Already 4888 says it's not that Ken Weaver's stories are the best, although they often are. It's the buttery smooth delivery. With that, how about this, Ken? Paul Harvey-esque storytelling.
Ooh.
Wow.
Gravesite,
wow.
Number 43.
There were some people that were recommending a gravesite number change, and I'm not going to tell you what number that is. You can probably figure that out for yourself. It's 52 after the hour on Super Talk. If you missed our great conversation earlier with Jason Whitlock, you can find it on our podcast page at 997WTN.com. I encourage you to go over to fearlessrollcall.com and to find out the details for the big Roll Call 3.0 event. Coming to Nashville this May 2nd and 3rd, hosted by Jason Whitlock, featuring Tucker Carlson. It's more than a conference, it's a call to action. Roll Call 3.0 is about uniting bold, faith-driven men to stand strong in today's culture. It kicks off Friday, May 2nd with a VIP evening at 3rd and Lindsley, featuring a conversation with Jason and Tucker, plus much more. Saturday, an all-day event at Rocket Town, and Saturday evening, it wraps up with a post-event dinner, a VIP dinner, connect directly with Jason and the Duggar Band. It's all happening at fearlessrollcall.com, and don't forget to put in that offer code 997 right now. 997 gets you half off. fearlessrollcall.com. Friends, we have a valuable resource in our Nashville community that is called Genesis Diamonds. This is a company built on a solid foundation with total transparency and honesty. We were talking about that earlier. They don't have commissioned salespeople, first and foremost. They pay their employees. You don't pay their employees. They pay their employees. They're never under any pressure to sell you or upsell you on anything. So you're not under any pressure to buy things. That's why they spend a little more time with you. They love spending time with customers, educating those customers on the diamond buying experience. And then here's a great thing. At Genesis Diamonds, and I love to say this, they'll send you out into the world because they know they have the best price point for the diamonds that they sell in the business. When you compare apples to apples, or better yet, when you compare diamonds to diamonds, they do not get undersold. They just don't at Genesis Diamonds because they cut out the middleman over there. And at Genesis Diamonds, they also don't play pricing games with you. They get it as low as they possibly can, and that's what they sell it for. We're lucky to have them in the Nashville community, and 2 locations to boot. One in Cool Springs, the other in Green Hills. You will love the experience, as I have loved the experience with the one and only Genesis Diamonds. When you go by, would you do me one favor and tell them that Matt Murphy of Super Talk sent you to Genesis Diamonds?
One day after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration's use of a 200-year-old law to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members, the ACLU is trying to block it again. These stories and more at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is a race between Murphy and Weaver today. I have not tallied up the total votes. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't see a single vote for Chris Webber.
You didn't have to say that. You could have left that part out. Thank you very much.
The needlessly competitive nincompoops in the news will be tallied in mere moments. We'll also get to Michael's call, and sincerely, I ask the question, does anyone have a legitimate explanation as to what's going on with the Department of Justice and more specifically the FBI? Why would Kash Patel offer exclusivity to Megyn Kelly and not simply open up the files to all concerned? It makes no sense. Plus, the Supreme Court says, of course, Donald Trump can fire federal workers of a temporary nature, and RFK Jr. wants to stop fluoride in our drinking water. We'll talk about that as well in the final hour. It's The Murphy Show. Stand by.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. This is going to be a big help for some folks here in Middle Tennessee. Fox 17 says Lowe's stores in Clarksville going to be handing out free cleanup supplies for flood victims tomorrow. There will be 140 buckets filled with sponges, flashlights, bottled water, trash bags, goggles, and hand sanitizer at both stores. The giveaway starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning at the Lowe's stores in Clarksville. It will last until all of the supplies are gone. Stocks rallied, then fell to end the day on Wall Street. Tariffs still driving investors' decisions. President Trump earlier today.
We have a lot of countries coming in that want to make deals. If I told them about making those deals 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, they'd be laughing at us. Now they're all signing up.
Trump says Japan and South Korea flying delegations to Washington to make a deal. The ACLU has filed a lawsuit to block the Trump administration's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. Just one day after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed it, but only after detainees are given due process to challenge their removal. This is the ACLU's lawyer today.
The court did not say that the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act was okay. It just said that will have to be decided in the first instance by the lower courts. It's absolutely, absolutely wrong that the Supreme Court blessed the use of this wartime authority.
He says they hope to get another injunction. U.S. Supreme Court clearing the way for the Trump administration to fire probationary federal workers, about 16,000 of them that a federal judge said should be reinstated will not be reinstated now. And Columbia grad student Mahmoud Halil, who the Trump administration is trying to deport for leading pro-Hamas rallies and harassing Jewish students, was in court in Louisiana today. The judge gave Department of Homeland Security lawyers a little more than 24 hours to provide Halil's legal team evidence that he is removable under those allegations.
Judge Jamie Comins has set another hearing for Friday to give Khalil's team time to review the evidence and respond to it. But Comins did say that she will make a determination whether he is removable or order him to be released that same day. Caveat here, of course, that ruling can be appealed, but we're going to have to wait to see how that shakes out.
That's ABC's Armando Garcia, who says today marks 1 month since Khalil's arrest. New data from Health and Human Services shows allergies are lingering and the season lasting, or rather starting earlier, due to changes in the weather.
If you feel like allergy season is getting longer, you're not wrong, and you're not alone. Research shows tree pollen is peaking, and grass pollen season is not only getting longer, but getting more intense. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, rising temperatures are leading to milder winters and more frost-free days. That confuses trees and other blooming plants and leads to more pollen and sneezing. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Antioch crash blocking the on-ramp 24 eastbound from Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products? With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 7 minutes after 6 o'clock. There's this old saying in radio that you don't want to look back too far. You want to look forward. You want to keep the momentum moving forward, always bringing up another topic, another subject, always talking to the next telephone caller, always discussing the next thing. So I don't think we need to belabor the fact that Ken Weaver won nincompoops in the news today. Okay, on to more things. Well done, Weaver.
Well, I have to give... got to tip my hat to Florida.
I'll tell you.
A lot of good stories out of Florida.
I think it was true. I think what won it for you was Unknown Grave 43.
Yes, sir.
Or Unknown Grave 4. Or it might have been the leg wound.
Or the term grave bobbers.
Yeah, that wasn't mine. I mean, I have to give that to the writer, but
that's pretty good.
That was clever.
That's pretty good. Or maybe it was that, as one super texter wrote, that buttery smooth delivery. Never know. All right, 6 o'clock hour is here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN on more serious topics. And I bring this up again. I mean, obviously, we got some good things going on. Got a couple of Supreme Court rulings. Of course, firing temporary federal workers is fine. The President of the United States can fire any executive branch employee with proper due process. Deporting illegal aliens is, of course, fine with proper due process. And that due process involves establishing whether or not they are here legally or illegally. If they're here illegally, then you can boot them out of the country. Of course, that's okay. The United States Supreme Court confirms those things. We'll get to the story of fluoride in water. We've been discussing, or at least have brought up, the aftermath of the storms, the awful flooding that's been going on. So all of those things are on the table. Have not talked too much about tariff or trade, but we will try to get to that subject in this hour as well. But have been discussing the release of the Covenant writings, manifesto, whatever you want to call it. It's 1,200 pages, a tremendous amount of journals. There's journal after journal after journal where this individual, this 28-year-old that committed these atrocities at Covenant School a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, March, had been writing for a long time. And there has been a lawsuit by the Tennessee Star, Michael Patrick Leahy and his organization, over the release of this information. And the lawsuit is apparently changed significantly in as much as, absent any aspect of the lawsuit, absent any explanation on the part of the Department of Justice as to why they've not previously released this information, apparently Kash Patel released the information to Megyn Kelly. And as I said last hour, I'm not necessarily faulting Megyn Kelly. I just don't understand what's happening. I don't understand why we are picking winners in regards to who gets to see this information. The information, if the information can be made available to Megyn Kelly, why can the information not be made available to you? And I do not have an answer to that question. And it feels to me that the players of the game have changed, but the game remains the same. That the rules are for thee, but not for me, or for me and not for thee. What is the difference between Kash Patel releasing information to someone that he is friendly with, apparently, and, for example, James Comey or Christopher Wray releasing information to a friendly media outlet exclusively when they were in charge of the FBI? I can't find a difference. And why should I, and Megyn Kelly went on to describe what wasn't told in the Nashville report. And we always knew that the Nashville report cherry-picked things, and they diminished the transgender aspect of all of this as much as they possibly could when it came to motive and whatnot. And, I'm not unhappy that Megyn Kelly gets to report on this. What's frustrating is a lack of justification or a lack of explanation as to why you're not releasing this to everyone, and in particular to the guy that filed a lawsuit 2 years ago, Michael Patrick Leahy. Perry is in Lebanon, and perhaps Perry has a thought on all of this. Hey, Perry.
Hi there. So as you were discussing this today, I was thinking back to the news conference when they found the guy who lit up all the Teslas, and they, arrested him, and they found him to be a member of the Communist Party, and he looked pretty Asian. And then they showed a picture of 2 rifles that they found in his home. Now, these rifles were clearly foreign rifles, either Chinese or Russian, similar to long range. We're talking 1 to 2 mile sniper rifles that you can see pictures of from the war in Ukraine. And there was some pretty sophisticated electronics that looked to me, and I'm not in military, but I have a fairly extensive knowledge of firearms. It looked like he had long-range thermal or night vision equipment on the rifle on the left-hand side of the picture. I suggest that everybody take a look again at that news conference in Las Vegas when the sheriff went through everything they did and what they found at the guy's house. And the FBI has not made a peep. We haven't heard a peep about that guy or those rifles. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand a certain level of secrecy when it comes to their investigations. I understand that they don't want to compromise investigations prior to bringing charges against individuals. I don't understand the level of secrecy that they go through after investigations are complete. We're an open society, or at least I thought we should be.
But I think everybody should be listening with a third ear about that case, because those were definitely homemade foreign sniper rifles, long range. They may have stopped the next assassination attempt against the president as well.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Perry, thank you for the call. I appreciate you very much. Danny is next up. Danny, are you calling from Selmer?
Well, on the outskirts of Selmer, yes, sir.
Tell me, before we get to the purpose for your call, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, how are things in Selmer?
Well, I'll tell you, they got hit pretty hard. I live on the outskirts, and honestly, I need to get. I didn't get hit, but there's some people got hit pretty hard. But my body's kind of tore up. Old disabled veteran, all blah blah blah. So I can't help, and I haven't done no looky-loo stuff because they don't need me in the way when there's people down there helping and trying to rebuild the stuff.
It's my understanding that the city area got popped pretty bad by that F3.
They took a hard hit on it. It's called like the North Wise is what they call it. But there's an area of town that got hit pretty hard. And God bless y'all, and let me know, Danny, you be my lifeline over there. If you hear that anybody needs anything over there, anything particular, you let me know, okay? Shoot, I can't say particular. I could give you a number off the air that you can call and see if I need anything, because there's some people trying to coordinate efforts. But anyhow, they got hit pretty hard. But I can't tell you firsthand because I didn't get hit. And I'm not going to go looking to be a looky-loo. They don't need me in the way. And there's too many people do that.
I agree. 100%. Right. What's up with the FBI? Talk to me.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that I'm a little, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I'm a little bit like you. It seems like maybe the players have changed, but the game's the same to some extent. I'll keep trying to be hopeful, but it seems like what my old battalion colonel used to say to people, to us when, stuff was going to hit the fan. He's like, I did not lie, but the truth changed. And, that's kind of how they keep doing it. It's like, I didn't lie, the truth changed. He went on to make general and stuff, which are politicians. So, I mean, that's kind of what politician view is. Well, I didn't lie, the truth changed. That's a good quote, ain't it?
I didn't lie, the truth changed. I do like that quote. That's pretty good.
There you go.
Danny, thank you, brother. Y'all be safe over there in Selmer. Selmer got popped by an EF3 tornado, and some of that hit right in the city, of course. If it hits your home, it doesn't matter if it's in the city or not. This goes back to this post, and this post that Bongino released as the assistant director of the FBI, the deputy director of the FBI, works directly under Kash Patel, was just, 24 hours or so before Kash Patel gave the complete covenant files to one person, Megyn Kelly, and let her look at them. Why? Well, Bongino says, he said, as I dive back to work, I want to reassure you that nothing is happening here by accident. Because of the sensitivity of what the FBI deals with, both the FBI director and I have to be circumspect of what we can be made public. Bad guys read this stuff too. Measure us by results. You'll see them. Just because you don't see something happening right this second doesn't mean it isn't happening. I'll conclude by saying not every result is going to please everyone. It's just pandering, et cetera. Well, I asked the question on the social media platform X, are the goalposts moving here? Now, once again, I'm not discounting. I'm not writing off Dan Bongino. I'm not writing off Kash Patel. But I'll say specifically about Bongino, Bongino gave no grace to people who talked like this. I listened to his show. You think Bongino would put up with a deputy director saying we have to be sensitive and circumspect and all these types of things? So, I mean, I'm just old enough to remember when Dan demanded the release of stuff like this and didn't give a damn about sensitivity. I just don't remember Bongino giving others the benefit of the doubt when it came to this kind of stuff. That's all. I'm not suggesting that Bongino doesn't want us to know. I'm not suggesting that he's not a good person. I'm just suggesting that people are changing their tune about government secrecy. And I'm letting them work. And I am allowing the process to play out. But for those of you that get mad at me for even bringing it up, I would say there is everything American about commentary and conversation and criticism while we let them work. And the results, I suppose, will speak for themselves. Well, the results over the last 24 hours are not very satisfying. Oh, we're going to give this information that people have been asking for 2 years to one national person that apparently Kash Patel is friends with, and not to the organization that I don't have anything to do with, by the way. I don't have anything to do with Michael Patrick Leahy's organization, but I'm mad for him. He's been fighting for this stuff for 2 years. We locally have been fighting for this information for 2 years. And instead of seeing it for ourselves, it has to be filtered through Megyn Kelly? What's so special about Megyn Kelly? Oh, Matt, she's a big podcaster. What? Who cares? This is about America, right? Danny is in Lebanon. Hey, Danny.
Hey, I just wanted to tell you, I worked for the police department in Nashville for many years, and something that just struck me very funny is that it took the Metro Police Department 2 years to close a case that the suspect was on video, the suspect was deceased. I get it that it took a couple of, you want to take a couple of months or so to make sure there was no conspiracy, to make sure there was no other players in the matter, but that was pretty obvious right up front. So for them to sit around and say that it took 2 years, why isn't everybody jumping up and down and going, man, if you are that inept at your job, you need to find another investigation's not your forte. I don't get it.
No, they were slow walking this, and we know that they were slow walking it, and they were slow walking it because of the nature of the information. And I understand that there are some people out there that just believe that we don't need to see all this stuff, and for those people, I say that we don't live in a country like that. And
I completely agree with you. And as far as I think, I have so much belief and trust in the upcoming administration. And don't get me wrong, I haven't lost it completely at all. But it is irritating that they decide they can pick and choose who gets what, and that's what they screamed and hollered about for the previous administration. And that's about all I got. I appreciate you letting me talk.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. There's Danny in Lebanon calling in. You may get your voice heard, 615-737-9986 on the super text line or on the phone lines. You can also comment on the on good old YouTubes. Like Riff Addict has written in on YouTube and said, listening to Murphy pretend to know about immigration legal issues is too funny. Dude has zero clue. I don't care what kind of massively oversized a jacket he has on. See, that's how to do it. Riff Addict knows how to do it. He annoyed me on the front end, but made me giggle on the back end, so I can't be mad at him.
It is a little large.
My jacket used to fit. Used to fit. And my goodness gracious, I got to get wear out of the thing, so I'm going to keep wearing it. This jacket used to fit me.
What's wrong with it?
They say it's too big for me, Ken. It's oversized. That's what I'm being told. I'm being picked on.
Oh.
And also, someone says I don't know about what don't I know about immigration legal issues? Because I would love to talk to you about that if you're willing. Riff Addict, you give it a go. 22 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for the Dr. Paz and Dr. McLaughlin Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center is dedicated to sleep, and better sleep. How well do you sleep is a question that they ask quite often. You know, I broke bread with Dr. Paz and Dr. McLaughlin today. And I don't know if you know this, but Dr. Paz is about to retire. And Dr. McLaughlin is going to take over and carry on the incredible tradition started by Dr. Stephen Paz so many years ago. And I'm so proud to be a part of this organization, proud of how they do their business, proud of Dr. McLaughlin and Dr. Paz, and happy to tell you that they are available to you in Brentwood and Murfreesboro. They're in network with just about any insurance company that you can possibly imagine. And they're VA approved too, by the way, for all of you veterans out there. Ask your VA about the oral device that holds the airways open, prevents blockages, and helps you sleep better, avoiding sleep apnea, which causes snoring, and it is a great risk to your health. Go to drpaz.com, that's drposs.com, to find out more about Dr. Paz, Dr. McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Conversations about my jacket on Super Talk TV have led to accusations of shoulder pad wearing. I don't appreciate that. It's also, I don't know, next thing you know, you'll be accusing me of wearing a toupee. I do not wear a toupee. I do encourage you to get over to PAI Medical so you can avoid said same. PAI Medical can provide you thicker and fuller hair. It's Matt Murphy, and I went to We Grow Hair. I went to these folks because I wanted to make sure. I thought that I was A-okay, but I got told that, hey, you're thinning a little bit on the crown there, Murphy. You need these laser treatments, and I got them. I got the fast 45-minute laser and PRP treatment for men and for women, and this is going to make sure that my hair is as thick and as full as it needs to be in all the places that it needs to be. it gives you such confidence, and you can have that confidence too. We Grow Hair right here in Nashville has been here for almost 30 years. I want you to go to the website or give them a call at 615-376-6010. Tell them you heard about them from me, Matt Murphy. That's 615-376-6010. No matter where you are in terms of your hair loss experience, they can help you at PAI Medical. They are the We Grow Hair people. Go to WeGrowHair.com.
Tennessee will not be like Texas when it comes to shooting thieves. I'll tell you about that and more at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, thank you much, Ken Weaver. 27 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you want to get in, 615-737-9986, always available. 615-737-9986. I am pleased to note that apparently Gino Bolso's bill is getting through the halls of the General Assembly. If you are not familiar with Bolso's bill, I'm going to make you familiar. It is a piece of legislation called the Success Sequence Act. The Success Sequence Act. Representative Gino Bolso's bill has passed the House of Representatives. Monday, that legislation was passed to provide Tennessee students with instructions of a life plan that is proven to promote prosperity. The Success Sequence Act updates Tennessee's family life curriculum by adding instruction on the success sequence, which includes obtaining a high school degree, entering the workforce, pursuing a post-secondary degree or credentials, then getting married, then having children. Bolso saying, and Gino's been on the show many times, we'll have him back, the success sequence is a proven way to flourish. It's essential that we convey this vital information to Tennessee children. The nuclear family and these other important milestones have a rich tradition in our nation, and the evidence overwhelmingly demonstrates that someone who follows this order of life events has an exponentially higher probability of success. Our state will continue thriving if we invest in strong children and provide them with a wealth of resources and guidance. 97% of millennials who followed the success sequence avoided poverty in adulthood. 97% avoided poverty, including more than 95% of Black and Hispanic adults. Children who grow up in traditional nuclear families consisting of a married mother and father are healthier, earn higher grades, less likely to behave emotionally or irrationally or to have behavioral or emotional issues, according to a study published in the peer-reviewed Lineker Quarterly. I can go on and on. This is not mandatory learning. Secondarily, parents can choose to opt their children out of this learning. I was fascinated with the number of people that staunchly opposed this bill. It is merely instructing children that, look, if you want to set yourself up for success in life, the way to do it is to get a high school degree, to get to work or to get to a post-secondary educational opportunity. After that, you get married, and after that, you have children. And if you do those things in a randomized order, or if you don't do some of those things, you are setting yourself up for potential failure. It doesn't guarantee failure, but it suggests that life is going to be harder for you. That's all. It is 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.6:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Tennessee, a bill that would have allowed you to shoot someone stealing your property died in the Senate Judiciary Committee today. much to the pleasure of the anti-gun violence group Moms Demand Action, which testified against it.
No one ever should be justified legally in shooting another person over a lawnmower or even my secondhand car. That's just shouldn't be something we allow people to do.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, TBI, and the conference that represents local district attorneys testified against the bill, too. And the push is on to get real IDs in the U.S. Here's Andrew Denver.
The countdown is on for people across the country to get a real ID before new federal rules go into effect next month. A standard driver's license will no longer be accepted as identification to fly even domestically. So starting May 7th, travelers will need a real ID or a passport. Americans have been scrambling to get appointments at local DMVs. In the New York area, people are waiting for months.
Money News, Michelle Franzen.
A roller coaster on Wall Street as major stock indexes slid to negative territory after a morning rally. The Dow was down 320 points at the end of Tuesday trading. The S&P 500 lost 79 points and the Nasdaq dropped 335 points. The sell-offs continue as investors struggle with uncertainty over President Trump's tariff policies, which heads into a new phase Wednesday with higher rates on imports from overseas. Trump's top trade negotiator facing the Senate Finance Committee Tuesday, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told senators the president will not offer near-term tariff exemptions. Greer said the president is committed to his tariff policy. Overseas visits to the U.S. fell 11.6% in March compared to the same month last year, according to preliminary government data released Tuesday. Tourism officials say potential foreign visitors are angered by President Trump's policies.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, the only crash I'm seeing on the interstates isn't even on the interstates. It is the off-ramp, 24 eastbound from Harding Place in Antioch. Other than that, just the usual brake tapping in the usual places. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Friends, Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you, particularly you men, but you ladies in the listening audience should tune into this too. Because if you've noticed your man has lost a step or two, maybe it's, yard work or perhaps it's at the gym, or maybe this is happening in the bedroom. Gently encourage your guy to go over to the Tennessee Men's Clinic and to find out how they can assist. This is a natural occurrence. There's no shame in this game, men, because the Tennessee Men's Clinic understands this. They are discreet. They are as professional as they come, and they will get one of their qualified urologists to examine you, figure out what's going on, how this is occurring, how long it's been going on, and then they have a prescription for success for you at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and they're going to tailor that specific to your needs. We want to get you back into the game. Intimacy is so important in a relationship, and it's time to get that intimacy back again with your partner or significant other. Let's get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. There's two locations. One is in the Franklin Cool Springs area, and the OG is over in Midtown. Been there since 2014, helping men just like you. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or call 615-208-9090, 208-9090. No lean, I love that on the super text line. That's good. I'll share with the class. Don't worry. Don't worry, I will. 615-737-9986. If you'd like to be a part of the show, 615-737-9986. We've got a few more moments to go before we'll call it a Tuesday and make our way to the house. And Mark Levin comes up next, of course. I have a few things to say about a few things before we go. No, Nolene said, coming soon, dire doodles. So true. If you've not heard, the big word on the street is that we now have dire wolves. Apparently this was a thing in Game of Thrones. I never watched Game of Thrones. Wasn't there a Grateful Dead song called Dire Wolves or Dire Wolf? I want to say that there was. I was never, I mean, I'm a, I like I like when you sling the hits. I mean, I like Sugar Magnolia or Truckin'. Friend of the Devil. I mean, that's all good, but, I wouldn't consider myself a deadhead by any stretch of the imagination. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that there was a Dire Wolf or Dire Wolves song by Grateful Dead. One way or the other, Dire Wolves are now a thing. And I just, you know what? Maybe I just think differently than everybody else. Everybody seems excited about this. Oh, Dire Wolves after 13,000 years. Oh, that's great. Dire Wolves, that's awesome. That's wonderful. I mean, are we putting these things in some sort of zoo setting? Are we going to attempt to repopulate the earth with dire wolves? I don't think that's a good idea. They need a food source. Have we not bothered to ask? What's the great line? There's a great line from Jurassic Park from, oh gosh, I forget his character's name, but it was Jeff Goldblum who said, you were so busy wondering if you could, you never stopped to think about whether you should.
That was Dr. Malcolm.
Dr. Malcolm.
Yeah.
Love Dr. Malcolm. Big supporter of chaos theory and butterfly effect, which I believe in very, very much. I do believe that small things extrapolate themselves and create bigger dynamics, and one little thing can veer the course of human history. All that to say, you were so worried about whether you could, you didn't stop once to think whether or not you should. And with the dire wolves, I would agree. I would agree with that 100%. I don't know that this is going to end well, except as Noellen points out, coming soon to a pet store near us, dire doodles, $4,000 a piece. I'm sure they'll be, or something along those lines. Let me tell you, apparently Labradoodles are just. I mean. I almost said something. I don't want the Labradoodle people coming after me, but I'm just told that the Labradoodle is. I am told that the Labradoodle is a handful.
Really?
It is my understanding. They don't shed, which apparently is the big benefit.
Yeah, they're hypoallergenic.
That's
what they call them.
I mean, all dogs will lose some hair, but they don't, lose a lot of it. But I'm told that they're a handful, and they're not. Look, Labrador Retrievers are so cute. They're the most popular dog in the United States of America, or at least up there in the top.
Up there, yeah.
Top two or top three. They're not the smartest dogs in the world.
No, they're not.
I mean, but they make up for it. They're lovable, and they're just fuzzballs and goofy.
Yep.
They're not the most intelligent animals in the world, and so you put those together with the jerks of the dog kingdom, which are the standard poodles.
Oh boy.
Am I wrong? Anybody? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I got to say, I have had an interaction with a standard poodle.
Positive?
And he was quite the gentleman.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe I you know what? I could be talking out of an orifice that is not my mouth. That is entirely possible.
That was one incident. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I just feel like generally my experience has been that standard poodles are they're. I mean, maybe I'm bringing a lot of perception to the table, but I'm going to go ahead and say the word. I think they're uppity. I think standard poodles think they're better than you and better than other dogs and better than me. It's that dadgum haircut that they get, and they're all prissy.
Mm.
Now, you take that and you put it together with a goofball, and what do you get? You get this uppity moron that doesn't shed. And that is your standard Labradoodle. And that is my take on the whole thing. 0058 says, yes, lights are on, but nobody's home. That's Look, I've had one golden retriever in my life when I was a younger man, and I named him Cooper after Gary Cooper. God bless Cooper. Cooper was just about the dumbest dog I'd ever met in my life. I mean, he was just not a very smart animal.
Yeah. I had one growing up. One of his favorite activities was rolling in dead animals. And funny enough, loved to swim, hated getting a bath.
Huh. Weird.
Couldn't keep him out of the pond out in the back.
You know, John Henry was that way. John Henry would, if there was a body of water, he was going to get up to his chest in it.
Yeah.
But if you tried to move him toward a hose or no, sir.
Mm-mm.
That's funny. That's interesting. If you want dire wolves, adopt blue heelers. They top out at about 40 pounds. They're more fierce and protective than wolves. I raise them. Well, these dire wolves are apparently like 200-pound animals, right? Something like that.
These are big.
These
big
are
ones. Yeah.
huge creatures. And if you're just joining the show and you don't know, or perhaps you've been out of pocket, apparently it was revealed. I think this happened on the Joe Rogan show, if I'm not mistaken. The revelation that 3 dire wolf puppies have been created. Their genetic sequence was artificially recreated through a tooth and a skull that was found. They have been extinct for about 13,000 years. Nobody can tell me why they're extinct except that they ran out of their food source. Okay? So think about this for a minute. We're taking a creature that was a carnivore that ate large mammals that eventually ran out of its food source and perished because of running out of a food source. And we're reintroducing them where they have a food source of large, overweight, slow mammals in wild abundance on the North American continent. I don't know that we should be releasing these folks.
I'm sure they'll be fine with kibbles and bits.
Oh, yeah.
Some gravy train.
Oh, yeah. Maybe get them some of that Fresh Pet. It's not dog food. It's Fresh Pet.
Yeah.
I still love that the one where the crime family. What are we even doing over here? Remember, you were at grandma's. I mean, they killed the guy.
Yeah.
They killed a guy for questioning his dog food. Mm-hmm. You know, question a man's dog food. Jason says, I like a Labradoodle when it's been groomed to have a mullet. Sure. Grape lab temperament. Good looking like a lab. Fast like a boxer. Never get fat. Boxador. Boxador?
I never heard of that.
Boxer and a Labrador, I guess? Okay. I've never heard of that either. My hurler is about shot. Everybody is offering me. Everybody's offering me their own take on Labradoodles. Derek says best dog ever was. Oh, okay, Derek. I'm sorry. Oh, see, I'm gonna feel bad now. That's very, very cute, Derek. Sincere apologies. I'll just shut up about Labradoodles now. He sent me a picture of his Labradoodle, and it looks very sweet. It does not look uppity at all. So. I stand corrected. Fluoride in water. Why do we continue to have fluoride in our water? You know, sometimes I ask questions that are rhetorical, and sometimes I ask questions that I sincerely don't know the answer to, such as I don't know why the FBI director would offer information that has heretofore been hidden from the general public to one individual in the general public, not everybody else. I also don't necessarily understand why we continue to fluorinate our water. U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said yesterday he's planning to tell the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to stop recommending golly, it's a word that I never could say. Fluoridation. I said it correctly, I think. In communities nationwide. Kennedy said he's assembling a task force, which is always good in government, of health experts to study the issue and make new recommendations. Also on Monday, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced it's reviewing new scientific information on potential health risk involving fluoride in our drinking water. The EPA sets a maximum level allowed in public water systems. Kennedy told the Associated Press of his plans after a news conference with EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Now, Utah last month became the first state to ban fluoride in public drinking water, pushing past opposition from dentists and national health organizations. Much like Jerry Seinfeld, I'm an anti-dentite. Republican Governor Spencer Cox signed the legislation barring cities and communities from deciding whether to add the cavity-preventing mineral to their drinking water. Water systems around the state must stop fluoridation by May 7th. Kennedy praised Utah for being a leader in making America healthy again. Fluoride in drinking water, fluoride in large amounts is toxic to us, obviously. There are potential health risks with fluoride. Fluoride does prevent tooth decay. I mean, I think there's no doubt in that. But, even if there was a purpose for fluoride in drinking water at one point, in other words, we weren't brushing our teeth appropriately, we weren't cleaning our teeth appropriately, we weren't flossing appropriately, and we were seeing tooth decay rampant as a result. Well, we're not seeing that anymore. And we have a wealth of knowledge and information about tooth health that we did not have when we began this fluoride craze. The question is, why can't we change? Maybe it was worth the risk then. Maybe it was worth the prevention of tooth decay then, and it's not worth the risk now that we know more about fluoride, and now we know more about keeping our teeth healthy and clean. And if you choose, you can use toothpaste with fluoride in it. So no one's preventing you from doing what you want to do. We would like to be able to use our drinking water without fluoride in it if we so choose. So why don't we let everybody choose? If you want to add fluoride to your drinking water, have at it. I don't care. I just feel like we've moved on as a society from this idea that you have to have fluoride in drinking water to help prevent tooth decay in young children or even in adults. We now have a much more healthy approach with regard to our teeth health. I mean, these things started happening during a time where, you went to the dentist if your tooth was falling out. You went to the dentist if you had major pain. You didn't go for necessarily regular cleanings back in the day. Anyway, I say yes to the idea of stop the recommendations. And frankly, I would prefer to allow the people to make the decisions about how they fluoride their teeth and if they fluoride their teeth or not. I'd like more say in what chemicals go in my body. That's just me. It's 9 until the top of the hour on Super Talk. When you call Defend Systems, if you are a decision maker when it comes to a school, a church, a place of business, if you're a manager or whatnot, if you own an event space or you manage one and you want to make sure that your staff, your security personnel, everyone else involved in your area where people gather, they are up to date with everything they need to know regarding safety of your facility, well, you need to call Defend Systems. They are a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. They conduct active shooter response, workplace violence prevention, site survey and threat assessment, security improvement consultation, emergency and intruder action plans. All of it customized specifically to your facility. Brink Fiddler is an expert in this field, and he has hired fellow experts with Tracy and Gloria and Adam and the rest of the gang at Defend Systems. It is time to get trained. Hope is not a plan, friends. It is a dangerous world. Let's train with the best. Defend Systems, 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or defendsystems.com. Winding down the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Tuesday, my Monday. So there were a bunch of hands-off. Y'all see the hands-off protest over the weekend? Maybe a lot of conversation or some conversation happened about these protests yesterday. I missed the opportunity to offer my commentary. I think they're hilarious. Very, very well done. A way to go, liberals. Please keep this up. We need more of this in our lives. Thank you for the amusement. Hands off our government waste, fraud, and abuse. Hands off our government overspending. Hands off the $1 trillion that we add to the national debt semi-annually. Hands off the $37 trillion in debt. Hands off the useless and wasteful government employees that do nothing and produce nothing. Hands off all of these things. Okay. Y'all have fun with that. In the meantime, speaking of hands off, it seems that it might be hands off our vapes in the state of Tennessee. We had planned on last week having a good friend of the show, Senator Ken Yeager, on to discuss his bill that would have increased taxation on vapes in the state of Tennessee. Well, vape owners are apparently, their words now, mad as hell about a bill seeking to create a 10% tax on open vape systems and effectively barring the sale of many vape products in the state. The legislation stalled in a House panel after store owners offered fiery testimony on how legislation would shut down their stores. During a passionate hearing, vape store owners explained, and I'm planning on having a spokesperson or a representative from these vape organizations on the show at some point this week. During a passionate hearing, vape store owners explained to the House members that the bill would punish responsible retailers for products sold primarily to teens through the internet and social media sources. In other words, this is not going to solve the problem that they claim it's going to solve. According to Knoxville vape owner or vape store owner Bill Livesey, I'm not going to be able to stay in business. At this point, according to this bill, I'm better off opening a store and selling cigarettes. What the bill would do would be tax open vape systems. There's two types of systems: disposable vapes and open vapes. Open vape systems are those refillable deals. None of them are legally available to teenagers. All of them are 21 and up products. But apparently, there's a belief that by charging more, you're somehow going to reduce teenage use. There's also a desire to prevent the Chinese-based products from being sold, which I don't have so much concern with. I do have a lot of concern about taxing these things when it has been demonstrated that vaping can pull you away from smoking, and smoking is a lot more harmful to your body than vaping. So we'll continue the conversation there. Just wanted to give you that update. Thank you all for participating in the show today. We appreciate you. Thank you to Chris Weber and to Ken Weaver. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Until then, Mark Levin is up next. Have a great evening, folks. So long.